living, what is co-living, where you can find the deals, what market should you select, what are the first couple of steps you should take. The number one question people are going to ask is, how do I get started, right? How do I get started? So we will cover that as well. How do I get started in co-living, or how do I get started in doing real estate deals and making a bunch of money? We are on live Zoom today. Today is, if you guys are watching this in the future, today is Monday, March 16th, 2026. You might be watching this in the future, but if you are here with me live today, it is March 16th, Monday, and we started a couple of minutes ago. So let's get into co-living. Co-living is incredible right now, and it will continue to be incredible because number one reason is affordability. This is a massive problem in the real estate market, is affordability. And people just can't afford rent anymore. It's getting more and more expensive to afford a place to live. And if you could make a guess, do you think affordability is going to become a bigger problem, or do you think the government is going to solve this? Well, guys, they've had Section 8 for a long time. They've had vouchers and free money and all sorts of things for a very long time. The government has not solved affordability. It's actually gotten a lot worse. And now, today, the average person is paying $1,800 in rent. Okay, that's the average person. Nationwide average is $1,800 in rent. Now, why is that a problem? Well, that's a problem because that's just the rent. That does not include utilities. Okay, that does not include any maintenance or furnishing, right? And so the average tenant, after their internet, their power, the utilities, water, all of those types of things, the tenant is usually paying around $2,300 every single month. Okay, so obviously this is very expensive for everybody. And we are going to be solving that with co-living. Why? Why can we solve this with co-living? If the average person after your utilities now in America is spending $2,300 on rent, this is a golden opportunity for us as landlords or real estate investors. Co-living is the practice of taking a regular house, preferably, write this down, when you're doing co-living, you are preferably looking for a 4-bed, 3-bath out of the gate, or a 3-bed, 2-bath, one of those at least. And you want to add as little amount of bathrooms as you possibly can. We'll get into that a lot later tomorrow and the next day. But you want to take a 4-bed, 3-bath house or a 3-bed, 2-bath house that has somewhere between 1,800 square feet and above. I try and shoot for 1,800 square feet minimum, and I'm usually shooting for about 2,300. And the reason being is because I want to try and get 10 residents in one single family house. And so we will essentially take a single family rental, and we will convert a single family rental or an Airbnb that's failing, or some sort of other investment strategy that is failing, because a lot of them are right now, and we will convert that into a small multifamily property. Basically, that's essentially what co-living is you're doing multifamily or multi-tenant inside of a single family property. Okay, that's what co-living is. I'm going to say this again for people that don't know what co-living is. Co-living is taking a single family house and adding rent by the room structure. So you're renting each room individually, and you are making a lot more money on that property. Really good story. One of my favorite stories of all time is a story about a seller named Cheryl Lynn. We'll talk about that deal today and break down the numbers and talk about how I make money on a property that was failing as an Airbnb. Now, we're going to start out right out of the gate, just kind of reiterating what co-living is. And then I'm going to lay down some ground rules for you guys over the next 3 days, because we'll be here for the next 3 days. Monday, March 16th, 3 p.m. California time. We'll be back here at the exact same time tomorrow and the exact same time the next day. So 3 days in a row, same exact time, same exact link. So all of you guys you don't have to wait for your Zoom, or you don't have to wait for an email. Just click on the link from today's email and you can get into tomorrow and the next day. Ground rules. Okay. I love opening up the live side chat. The problem is when I open up the live side chat, you have people that are promoting, or maybe they're acting a little bit foolish. I really would prefer people not promoting any of their own stuff in my side chat. I like the energy from the side chat. I love hanging out with the people in the side chat. It's how I get to know so many people. Okay. And I want to do deals. I want to talk about real live deals while we're on this for the next 3 days. And so sometimes I'll pull somebody from the audience that's struggling with something and I'll call their seller or their broker, or I'll structure a deal for them. So I like the live chat for those reasons. So please understand, you'll see people in the side chat acting foolish, and I'll pause the side chat for an hour until we calm it down. Usually what those people are trying to promote is like their own YouTube channel. I have one of the largest brands in real estate. And so what happens is people that are starting their own YouTube brand around real estate is they go, oh, I just might as well tap into Paces. Okay, cool. I respect that. I respect the hustle. It's just not a good place to do it. Okay. So please don't. Do not promote any of your stuff in here. I'll get lenders that promote stuff in here. Please don't do that. I don't know who you are. I can't vouch for you. If somebody goes and does business with you and you screw them over, they come back and send me emails. Okay. So there's that. I usually do, another thing is I do Q&A usually at the end of every day, and I go long sometimes. I'm unpredictable because what is determining how long I stay on these Zooms is whether my wife and my children are ready to play in our backyard or not. I know that's silly, but as an entrepreneur, I've built a portfolio of about 2,000 rentals, 2,000 doors. Some of those properties are large, like 500 doors in one property, but I have 2,000 plus doors in my portfolio. I have financial freedom. I can do what I want, how I want, when I want. I love teaching you guys because that is where a lot of my deals come from. When I teach, people learn from me. They bring me deals. I buy deals from people that learn from me. Last year, I bought about $40 million from people that just taught, or they learned from me, and they started learning from me on YouTube or in some of these free trainings that I'm doing. So if you're on YouTube right now, or you're in the side chat on live Zoom, can I get a yes? You understand why I like doing these trainings. A lot of people, especially my engineer types, are like, what's his angle here? What's he trying to do? He was with me yesterday for 3 hours. He didn't sell anything. He's going to be with me today for 3 hours. He's not going to sell anything. What's his angle? If I teach you, especially my methodology and what I like to do, there's a high likelihood that you and I at some point will end up doing a deal together. Okay. So hopefully that helps you understand why I do what I do. Okay. Now, pausing the side chat again. Those are the ground rules. Okay. Today, what we're going to cover is what is co-living. We're going to talk about how to choose a good market to start in. Okay. And we're going to talk about what your first steps are. Then I'm going to break down a co-living deal and why co-living is so powerful. And I'll talk about the story and how I buy these properties without any money out of my own pocket. I get paid in most circumstances to buy rental properties. I'm going to say that again. I get paid in most circumstances to buy rental properties. You'll never hear that from any other educator but me. Everybody else online is like, yeah, save up 20, 30%, go to the bank, get an FHA loan, move into the house, that kind of stuff. Like it's 1942 and you're not smart enough to learn strategies that work today. Those are old school strategies. Nobody uses that stuff anymore. Like the burr strategy, that's so old school. I think you have to have gray hair coming out of your ear holes and you have to be bald in order for you to use the burr strategy. I think that's a prerequisite. So we're not going to learn any of that kind of crap in here. That's elementary stuff. Okay. And yes, I'm taking a pill for a headache. The fire of my soul will outperform my body. So my body sometimes says, slow down, bro. And I'll say, no. And so my body will try and give me a headache to try and slow me down. I'm like, no, we're going. Let's go, 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 go. All right. So let's go through and talk about why co-living again, one more time. And then we'll talk about what market you should start in. And then we'll talk about what are the ways you can make money in co-living and where you can then get started, the steps. Okay. So step number one, why co-living? Co-living is powerful because there's a lot of houses right now that are not rentable and able to profit in the investment world. Okay. What's happened over the last couple of years is that housing has gotten so expensive that investors have a hard time buying a rental and having it cash flow. And so investors are having a hard time profiting. One of the stories I'll tell you guys today is how I buy most of my properties is actually from failing Airbnbs people that thought Airbnb was a good investment, and they're failing, and I go and gobble those things up, take over payments, don't have any banks involved, and I go make a ton of money. Okay, so houses are expensive. They're not going to go down. Sorry, guys. I know that some of you guys are like the crash bros, as we call them, the people that think that the market's going to crash. And so you hope the market's going to crash so you can afford to buy houses. Just learn to buy houses the way I do it, and you'll be fine. Okay, so number one reason why co-living is awesome is because investors using other strategies cannot cash flow without it. Okay. Number two, I'd say about 20% to 30% of everybody in our US population is going to be jobless in the next couple of years. I shouldn't say couple of years. I would say probably the next 3 years to 7 years. And the reason for that is because things like Amazon firing 300,000 employees and replacing them with robots. Things like, we don't need to go in this, right? Do we need to talk about how AI is changing the world, or we're all on the same page, right? We don't need to talk about this. Agreed? Okay, cool. So think about this. This is a big question people have, is like, well, if that is the case, then where is everybody going to live, and how are they going to afford to live? Very good question. It comes up so frequently. I want to make sure we cover that right now. The number one thing that's going to happen with these people that lose their jobs, right, is they are going to shrink or share. Okay, this is what happened in 2008 when the market crashed, 2008, 2009, is people either downsized to much smaller living situations, or they shared living situations. Okay, people got foreclosed on in the millions, right? Our unemployment was massive. People didn't have jobs. And so what they did is they shrunk down to smaller places to live, and they started sharing with each other. Okay. So this is what's happening and has been happening in the marketplace for the last 3-5 years, is that co-living has really taken off because it solves the affordability problem. Okay. These people will have to go to co-living. It's already happening. It's one of the biggest growing sectors in the investment world today. Okay. And it solves affordability. And to point that out to you, again, we talked about this at the beginning, but some of you guys trickled in a little bit later, is that the average tenant is paying $1,800 a month for a house or an apartment. It's just average across the country. Some are higher, some are lower. Obviously, that's what averages are. Plus, they're spending about $500 a month on utilities and little repairs and cleaning and all of that kind of stuff. So the average tenant is paying $2,300 per month. Okay, average is paying $2,300 a month. In co-living, this is crazy. You get a room that you get a rent all to yourself, plus you get access to the kitchen, plus you get some parking and maybe some basic amenities, whatever. Okay. And what happens is the average room in co-living also includes utilities. I just want to be very clear. This includes utilities, and this includes cleaning. And if there's a pool, it also includes the pool maintenance. And if there's landscaping, it also includes landscaping. The average co-living tenant pays $900 a month. So you tell me, is co-living going to continue to grow? If the average tenant is paying $2,300 right now co-living is $900 a month, including utilities, including pool and basic cleaning, you tell me that this is not going to blow up across the country. Well, it is. And I have some good slides today to show you some basic information, but you need to understand that this is a growing market. Okay, this is growing versus other places that are slowing in the investment world. Is Airbnb is not going to die. It'll never die, but it is slowing in a tremendous way. Okay, regular rentals, just a regular tenant, regular house, regular rent rate, that is also slowing down because people are having a hard time affording this. And it's going to get worse, much, 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 much worse as AI continues to take people's jobs. And we're just in the very beginning stages of that. Okay, just to kind of prove to you on the Airbnb side, 400,000 houses were dropped from Airbnb's website in the last 12 months. I'm going to say that again. 400,000 houses that were Airbnb hosts were pulled off of Airbnb because they were not performing in the last 12 months. So that shows you that there's tremendous opportunity for these houses to be converted. Big opportunity, massive, massive, massive opportunity. Okay. So I could go on for another hour on why I like co-living, but do we understand why I like co-living basically so we can just keep moving and grooving, my friends? Okay. Awesome. We don't need to go into this. Here's what I don't like about co-living, and I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't actually love co-living because I don't want it in my neighborhood. And I also hate that this is the solution to the affordability problem. I hate that this is the solution. I'm just telling you the truth. I hate that this is the solution. Taking a single family house and renting out by the room, taking out the living room, taking out the garage, taking out all of these other living areas. I hate that this is the direction our country is going, but I cannot lie and say this is not the fastest growing, by far the fastest growing portion of the single family world. That this is, you get waiting lists. Scott Lyons, people say zoning issues. Guys, I'm going to tell you guys something really quick about the zoning, and I know it's going to pop up so many times. There are no zoning issues on co-living, and people are going to fight me on this. And when they try and fight me on this, I want them to then tell me how many co-living properties they own, and I'll then tell them how many I own, and we can go to battle on what's actually happening. Okay? What's actually happening right now is, you guys can Google it. Sacramento, California is now coming out with grant programs to help more co-living opportunities come into Sacramento, California. Denver, Colorado just passed a law to expand more co-living opportunities statewide. You also have Phoenix, Arizona, where people are now able to add an ADU in any part of their house, any part of the state, any part of Maricopa County, with no zoning restrictions, because they're trying to push more co-living or more units on everybody's property. Okay. Now, hold on. I gotta stop the side chat. You guys are wild. Is this an ideal exit strategy for a first-time buyer? Yeah, let's bring up David Palmer. This is a really great question. David, let me bring you up for a minute. And it's interesting because if David's asking that question, then David in his mind has other opportunities in his mind. David Palmer, what's up? How you doing? David Palmer, come on up.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. So David, the short answer is yes, but I like your question a lot. So I'm going to reiterate it to the audience. The question is, Pace, is this an ideal exit strategy for a first-time buyer, somebody jumping into investing for the first time? Yes. I'll tell you guys some of the dumbest things you can do as a first-time investor here in a couple of minutes. But David, what are other options in your mind as a first-time investor that are not better or worse than co-living? Because it sounds like you're new, so you wouldn't know what's better or worse. But tell me, what are some options for you in your mind outside of co-living?
Well, I have not bought anything yet, so I'm still looking at
No, I get that. But what are your options in your mind?
the buy and hold, single family,
Okay,
the
so we
multifamily.
just call those boring rentals.
Yeah.
Okay, boring rentals. So traditional rental. So why do we not like traditional rentals?
Is that just because it's a longer term return on your investment?
No, the great question. Man, this is awesome. I think this is you're going to be a good guest for me. Thank you, David. I appreciate this. So let's think about a single family house, right? So a 3-bed, 2-bath house. Okay. Your typical tenant is going to go in here and rent this property from you. Let's just say $2,300. Now, what's going to happen with a traditional rental is that your goal in a traditional rental is you're going to be somewhere around like $1,700 a month in your expenses or less, and you're going to have like a $500 monthly expense or $500 monthly profit, correct?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that this person signs a 12-month lease. Okay. So 12 months, they stay in. Let's assume that they pay their rent. Let's assume that You don't have to evict them. Let's assume best case scenario. Okay. So they go 12 months. You made $6,000 in your pocket. Not really cool. I don't love that. Like $6,000 doesn't move the needle for me. So I'm not excited about that. But let's just say that you get $6,000. Cool. So this tenant, after 12 months, decides they're going to move out because they're going to downsize or upsize, whatever it may be, but they're going to move, right? Does a tenant move in the next day? Tenant replace a tenant, or are you going to have some vacancy here?
Yeah, you're going to have some latency there for
Okay,
repairs
cool.
and whatnot.
Usually this is about 60 days. Why? Because
wow,
you
okay.
have a hard time marketing a rental when one rental is already full, right? Tenants want to see the house they're about to move into, and existing tenants don't want to show the house that they're renting. Okay. So usually you're going to go through a 30-day repair cycle. You're going to replace the carpet. You're going to paint the rooms. You're going to fix the light bulbs. You're going to go through and spend money. So all of a sudden that $6,000 doesn't really seem like a really good profit margin at the end of the year when I got to spend $10,000 turning over the rental, right?
Okay.
So I don't really love that. That's not a good feeling. And then on top of that, I also don't love the fact that I have 60 days of payments where I don't have money coming in. So now I got another 1,700 and another 1,700 in monthly payments that I got to come up with $3,400. So it's not just my $6,000 taken up. I lost 4,000 on just the repairs. I got to add another 3,400. So my real expense was I lost $7,400 because that tenant moved out. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. On co-living, here's how this is different. Okay. This is why co-living is a much safer, much better model for first-time investors. Okay. So if I take a house, and I'll break a house down for you today, but let's say that I have one of my houses, I've got 9 bedrooms in this house. Okay. This is obviously not the floor plan. I just made this up. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in this house. Okay. When we do co-living, okay, when you do co-living, you're occupied 92% of the time. And if one tenant, let's say tenant number 4, moves out, man, that's really sucky. Not really, actually, because I now have one person that's moving out, but I have this person, all these other people are staying in the house. So my bills are covered. My cash flow is still there, still significant, still strong, even if I have 1 or even 2 people move out. And the average latency between one person moving out and another moving in is 2 weeks. So is this safer, or is a regular tenant safer?
Yeah, I see what you're doing. You're kind of taking the logic for a multifamily a commercial property and applying it to a single family.
There you go. Okay. Now what's cool about this, here's another, that's number 1 reason why, right? Do we like this reason? Was that a good logical reason?
Yeah.
Okay. Another really good logical reason is because in a co-living model, I actually have PadSplit coming in tomorrow to talk about their model. PadSplit is not a fully nationwide company, but they're growing. They're pretty big. That's who manages my co-living properties. PadSplit does not have tenants. They have club members. So I don't have evictions. When I have a tenant, I have an eviction. When I have a club member, they are kicked out of the club. There is no tenant law that can protect a club member of, let's say, a country club or a gym membership, et cetera. And so they treat their membership like a 7-day club. So you have every 7 days, you're paying a weekly expense to be a part of a club to stay inside of this little country club. And that's how PadSplit has created such a rapid growth for themselves, is because they get rid of the tenant problem that you have with a tenant not paying the bills. So let's go now to the worst case scenario. Remember this tenant you had that moved out, they were paying their bill. Everything was good for 12 months. But let's say this tenant decides, I'm not going to pay. David, where do you live?
I live in Virginia Beach area of
Okay,
Virginia.
cool spot. But I think you guys just got like the most like horrible liberal governor. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're struggling right now.
Yeah, you guys got like an absolute piece of garbage that just came in as your governor, and she's immediately attacking taxes. She's doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Am I right or wrong?
You're correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. So look, I can't control who the governor is over there, but I can control where I spend my money. And if I'm going to go and have a rental, by the way, did you know, you didn't know this because you sound like you're newer to me. But I had 6 rental properties in Virginia. 4 of them were in Virginia Beach area. And how many do you think I own today? 0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Regular rentals. What I did is I took my 6 regular rentals, I converted 4 of them into co-living, and I sold the other 2 that would not be a good fit for co-living. They were just too small to justify the expense load. And I'll talk about that today. I have a spreadsheet. We'll jump into some fun stuff. Why did I do this? Well, because I'm afraid of your governor. Your governor's coming in and changing the way people look at tenants. Tenants in your governor's mind are not customers. They are people that are entitled to your house. I don't like that, right? I'm a business operator. My product that I serve and sell is a house and a place to put your stuff and sleep. That's my product. I have customers, not tenants in my mind, right? But your governor hates you as a business owner. How dare you try and make money off people? How dare you do that, right? That's kind of her thought process. Cool. Why did I not sell all of my properties is because co-living, when done with PadSplit, we'll talk about them tomorrow, bypasses all nationwide tenant landlord laws because I do not have a tenant landlord relationship. So your governor can go and impose things and change things and do all sorts of stuff and go and attack regular landlords. But I am not a landlord here. I'm a club owner, and these people are paying a weekly club membership fee to be part of my club. This has been challenged hundreds of times in court. It's been won every single time. Nobody's ever been able to go against what PadSplit's structure is on protecting the client, the club and the club membership fees. And so this is another big reason is that if this regular tenant in your liberal place, look, I have a lot of friends that are liberal. Some of my team members are liberal and I love them, but I got to pay payroll, right? And these liberal people don't care about that. They just assume that money comes out of nowhere and that they want people to steal from you. And so look, there's a lot of great things about liberals. I love them. They're great. I'm sure that out of, 1,100 people on the Zoom and 500 people on YouTube, I probably have a couple of hundred liberals. They're awesome. But as it goes to regular rentals, I don't want them because if this person stops making my payments in Virginia, guess what I have to do? I have to go and do an eviction.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do an eviction, guess what I now have? I have that $1,700 payment times 6 while I'm trying to prove to your state that this person should be evicted from my property. Okay. Your state will only get worse. And so what I would advise to everybody is when you're new, you should stay away from regular rentals, period. End of story. I actually think regular rentals are one of the hardest ways to make money. Do you know how many regular rentals I own currently today, David? 200 regular rentals. At one point, I owned 315. Over the last 24 months, in fact, I sold one today. I'll show you a picture, a video. I sold one today. One of my Vegas properties I sold today. And I pulled out $89,000 out of the property and I'm rolling it into a co-living property. I'm currently going away from most of my regular rentals because I've seen the writing on the wall the last 5 years. Okay. So I would advise that a regular rental is actually more of an advanced strategy. Okay. So let's go into what I think is hard and things you should stay away from is number 1, regular rentals. Okay. Number 2, actually number 1 by far, the thing that you should stay away from at the highest is Airbnb. Airbnb is a nightmare. You're cleaning the property, you're dealing with Karens, you're dealing with an up and down economy. If the economy is bad, do people stay at Airbnbs, David?
No, I wouldn't imagine so.
No, I mean, again, what we just talked about is in the last 12 months, 400,000 Airbnbs were pulled off the Airbnb platform from not performing. So if you already know that that's not the case, then I would get out of that. I used to have 75 Airbnbs, mostly in Atlanta and Vegas. I own, as of today, zero 0 Airbnbs. Why? Well, because Marriott and Hyatt and some of these multi-billion-dollar companies have outlawed and pushed. Okay, they're so genius with political stuff that they went out and got these outlawed in Atlanta and Vegas. Airbnb is outlawed in multiple very high-profile cities in the country. That does not sound like an investment strategy I want to go after. Co-living, on the other hand, is not outlawed anywhere. In fact, most states are now incentivizing you with grants to do more of it. So number one would be Airbnb. Number two would be regular rentals. Okay. And so I'll cut that off. At the very top of the list, the best things to jump into are going to be, I would say, co-living. Number two, COC. We'll do a training on this actually in a couple of months. I did one a couple of months ago. COC stands for Continuum of Care. So look up Oxford House. Okay, so essentially what you're doing here, David, is you're going and getting a house, which I'll show you guys how to get these houses with no money down. We'll do all of that stuff over the next 3 days. You go get one of these houses and you take it to Oxford House, and Oxford House does a master lease with you where they don't ask for repairs, and they fill the property up with 8 of their tenants, and they get government funding, and they pay about 3 times the regular rent rate, and they stick around for 10 plus years. They are also responsible for all repairs. Sounds a lot better than regular Airbnb or regular rentals, right?
Much easier.
Way easier. So super hard, super hard. I would even argue that Airbnb is almost impossible in today's market. And why would I want to own real estate that would be impossible in good market or bad markets and possible in good markets? I want to own real estate that's possible and scales in all marketplaces, right? Good, bad, left or right, or whatever. Okay. Another one is really good. Not as good as co-living and not as good as COC. I almost hesitate to say it because it's such a buzzword, but Section 8. What do I not like about Section 8 is a lot of things I don't love about Section 8. I think it's a lot better than regular rentals and Airbnbs, but Section 8 requires you to collect payments from 2 people. You collect from the tenant and you collect from the government. Section 8 tenants also destroy your property. Don't listen to anybody that says they don't. They do destroy your property, okay? So Section 8 is okay. It does pay more money. You have more cash flow, but you also have more headache. Okay. Do I love people that are in Section 8? Look, I got all the love for them. I hope the government spends more money on them, but these people do not respect your property. And people say, oh, well, these people could lose their voucher. Bro, these people have lived on the government their whole life. They have very little respect for anybody. They get free money left, right, and center. These people, overwhelmingly, probably 70% of them plus, do not care about your property. Okay. So Section 8's good. It is not guaranteed money, but it's nearly guaranteed money. So that's kind of a nice thing. These tenants do stay a long time. Okay. The average Section 8 tenant stays for 7 years. It's pretty good, right? So there are really good things about Section 8. It's just not as good as co-living, and it's not good as COC, Continuum of Care. Another one that I really like, I would actually put this one above Section 8. I'll switch these, is something called HUD-VASH. Okay. HUD-VASH is Section 8 for veterans. Okay. I also love doing assisted living. Okay. And I also like sober living homes, those types of things, but I will rent my house to the operators of these businesses rather than operate those businesses myself. Does that make sense, David?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have I answered your question way more in detail than you were anticipating me answering that question?
I totally expected the detail, but yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Any follow-up question whatsoever?
Well, one thing about the Section 8, that's
Yeah.
kind of restricted to, or is it restricted to low income areas, or are there just a certain number of properties?
The biggest reason I hate Section 8, okay, I'll tell you why I hate Section 8, is because they always say, oh, we have so many vouchers. We have so many vouchers, and they get unused. Why do the vouchers get unused? Because the Section 8 properties, Section 8 properties have to be approved for Section 8, and the majority of houses in the United States do not get approved for Section 8. They're not necessarily low income. Yes, that's a big part of it. It also has to be near workplace. It has to be near public transportation, all of those types of things. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it. But
Gotcha.
if there's so many vouchers that go unused, in fact, they go and they get expired. Okay. How do I know this? Well, I know this because this is what I do for a living, right? So let me pull up a little photo. And last time I was in Atlanta, I spent the entire day in Atlanta working with nonprofits that help Section 8 people get into properties. And when I sit down with every single one of them, their biggest complaint, here we go. Here's the last company I sat down with. Let me do a little screen share. Man, I travel all over. I know this business left, right, and everything. I love this business. I love real estate so much. And so I'm not biased on what exit strategy is. I just do all my education. So right here, January 8th, 2025, this is last year about this time, sat down with this company. They had something like 400 people in waiting line for getting Section 8 houses. Okay, 800 people that had approved vouchers. But a voucher doesn't, you can't just go to any house and go, hey, I can use this voucher. The house has to be approved by Section 8. And that is one of the biggest challenges with Section 8. And it's hard to scale a Section 8 portfolio. Whereas co-living, I don't need approval from anybody, right? This is what I love about co-living. What's another problem with Section 8 is that when a Section 8 tenant moves out, I have an empty house that's costing me money. I don't want that. Co-living destroys that and gets rid of that problem. And so the approvals, the vouchers, what's funny is co-living is also more affordable than Section 8, right? The rent is like half of what a Section 8 rental is. Well, pays the government, the money comes from the government. Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying that I'm going after professionals that just graduated college. They might be like my sister. She's upstairs right now. She's a perfect example. She's a CNA. Okay. I think that's a certified nursing assistant. She makes like $19 an hour. That's really not a lot of money. She's working double shifts. And so she can barely afford, she likes to travel. She likes to do some stuff. She's like, I'm trying to find places I can live for $1,000 a month or less. She comes from a good family, learned how to work really hard. She makes $18 an hour. When I was young, that sounded like a lot of money. It's not anymore. And she now lives in one of my co-living properties. She lives in one of the houses, right? And half the house is full of nurses, single girls that are saving up money to pay off their college or student loans and saving up money to go and buy their own personal house at some point. That's typically the person that is attracted to co-living. It's not poor people. I'll give you a good example of this. I was teaching a class for the Arizona Association of Realtors a couple of years ago, and it was like 600 people in this class. And this guy gets up and he's so rude. I don't think he was intentionally rude. I just think he's uneducated. He gets up, he's like, who the heck would stay in a co-living property? That just sounds like, I'm like, I wanted to show him like what these houses look like, right? A lot of people need to probably just know what these houses look like. And I'm in the process of pulling them up and saying, hey, let me show you, like these houses are actually pretty nice. In fact, I'll show you one. And I get this lady, she's a nurse. She's all in her scrubs. This nurse stands up and she starts like, getting a little bit defensive, as I would imagine you would if you were in her situation. But she says, I'm a co-living tenant and look at me. I just left the hospital. Like I'm a respectable person. I went to college. I'm not some schlub. And she goes, I'm actually one of Pace's tenants. Like when I learned about what co-living was for my property manager, or when I was applying for rent and I couldn't find anything I could afford and save money. She's like, it was one thing that I could afford to live there, but then I'm paycheck to paycheck. I'm trying to afford to live somewhere, not in my parents' house, and work a lot so I can save up money. And I want to go and like have a better future and put some money into investments and save for a house. And she's like, I ran into, how do I do this? And I saw Pace's YouTube channel. I went to PadSplit.com, which is what I'm showing you right now. And she went to find a room. She went to Arizona. She goes to Phoenix, and just so happens she ends up renting out one of my houses. Look at these houses. Like these are really nice and cute houses. They feel kind of like Airbnbs, right? They're not crappy houses, but there's the average inside of one of our rooms. Okay. This is the average inside of a pad split bedroom, right? Really basic. We bring the bed, we bring the furniture, we bring all the stuff so they can move in right there. A lot of the rooms don't even have closets, and they just put their luggage or they put their stuff, their Amazon little totes underneath the beds, and they're really cute, right? Really well done, nice, no carpet in the house, so you don't have to deal with any like repairs and all of that kind of stuff. And she stood up and she kind of defended PadSplit and co-living model. And he walked away going, man, I had this belief system that the people staying in these houses are poor people. And she's like, I am poor. I'm just not poor minded. That's like, this lady dropped this nugget on him. She says, I'm not poor minded. I'm poor in my wallet. And my mindset is a hardworking professional person. And I'm trying to save money. And you think we are poor of mindset. And that's where you're wrong. And she's like, this is who Pace is serving. So the cool thing is that these people, I don't ever have problems with my co-living tenants, ever. I don't have problems with co-living tenants. I have problems with regular tenants all the time. They're the most entitled people. They also have all the leverage because if they are a problem and I have to evict them, now I have an empty house. And so you'll make a decision as a landlord to not evict somebody because you're like, gosh, dang it, I don't want to have to go through this process. And you'll work with them a lot longer. In co-living, you're just like, get the heck out of the house, right? And because they're not a tenant, they have no tenant law, they have no tenant status. I can get a sheriff over there if I need to just pull them out of the property because they don't have a lease, 0 leases at all.
Trespassing, just get out.
Yeah, you get out, right? So PadSplit is the management company that helps me find my tenants and help me manage my property, collect the money, all of that stuff. I'll talk about PadSplit a lot more tomorrow. What markets are they seeing emerging? What are their favorite style of houses? Things to watch out for. PadSplit's going to be with us for a couple of hours tomorrow. But you need to understand co-living is by far the fastest growing real estate investment strategy in the single family world. It's not the fastest growing strategy in like the commercial space. The largest stuff is RV parks. You've probably seen me talk a lot about RV parks. My community is in the last 3 years have bought up 7% of all RV parks in the country. So we're gobbling those up, but that's not this training today. To this training and the rest of the week is how do I get started in co-living and why co-living? Well, I think we've answered the reason for co-living and why it's so great. I've never had a house not make money. Never. Okay. And so David, can you hang with me a little bit longer?
Sure.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go to a spreadsheet and I'll give you guys this spreadsheet today as well. But I'm going to give you a spreadsheet that shows you one of my properties and the finances for that property and why that property does make good money. And even if a person moves out of that house, what the heck do I do? Like, how do I make that money? And how do I make sure that it's never losing cash? Let's go to, 39th. Let's go to 39th. There it is. Okay, cool. So let's pull this up and I'll do a little breakdown of this. I have a different story to tell, but this is the last house that I was in the middle of looking at the numbers of this. And hopefully this will help you guys understand this a little bit more. And I will make the numbers bigger. Just relax, guys. Just hang tight for a minute. All right, so let's go to making this a little bit bigger, maybe like 150%. Okay, cool. So let's not talk about acquisition cost quite yet. That's not super important right now, but let's just look at this house. This house has 10 bedrooms in it, and one of the people are living in this house for free. Okay, so you can see I have one of my 10 bedrooms is getting free rent. Here's the yearly income for all of my other 9 bedrooms. Okay, so you look at the gross income from this house in 1 year. That's $100,000.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. This is the thing you got to understand about all of these houses. Let's pull this house up so you guys can see this. This is a real house. I do own it. I bought it without a bank, without credit, without a down payment, with any of that kind of stuff. We'll go through that story. Okay, but let's pull this house up real fast. Okay, I have 10 people living in this house. 10. It doesn't seem large enough. This is a little bit bigger house. I'll show you what we did. You see right here, there's these 2 little additions on the back. We have taken the garage and we turned that into 2 bedrooms. It's got a pool. It's got a nice little grassy area, a little gazebo. Okay. But we also took the grass out and I put some additional parking. So I've got some parking in here, right here. Grass area has some parking. This is a non-HOA neighborhood. It's in a cul-de-sac, and this property just prints money. What was this property before? Well, guess what? I didn't have to add either one of these little additions. This was an Airbnb. Okay. I found somebody who was struggling with an Airbnb model. I'll show you guys how to do that tomorrow. And we found this person. I negotiated a subject to deal. We talked about this yesterday, and I'll break this down a little bit more in a minute. And I took over their Airbnb. But let's take this rental property, and I'm just going to type it into, let's say, Zillow, and let's find out what this could rent for. Okay. By the way, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,763 square feet. You can tell this property, okay, this property is the information is so wrong on it. Let's go to the rent rate. Let's see. Rentometer is usually a little bit better. Let's go to Rentometer and let's just type in the address. Get the heck out of here, man. I'm just trying to do a little demo for free here. 3-bed, more than 1.5 bath, check rents. Okay, so my average, check this out. My average is $2,000 a month in rent. $2,000 a month in rent. My payment on this, check this out. I took over somebody else's payment. If you look at my yearly payment, I pay PITI, that's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. My payment on this is $2,000 a month. So could I have bought this house and rented this for $2,010 a month and made money?
No.
No, it's a dead deal. So this is another massive reason why not only creative finance is powerful, it's also another reason why co-living is dominating, because I can take a house that can be rented for $2,000 a month and I can dice it up into this spreadsheet. Okay. Let's go through this, David. Why does this room rent for 13 grand a month versus these other ones rent for $9,700?
More square footage.
A little bit more square footage, yes, but usually it's their proximity to amenities. So if they have a bathroom attached to their bedroom, or if they're right next to the kitchen, or if they're really close to the front door, those types of things, or if they even have their own dedicated air conditioning unit. And so I have 2 bedrooms in this house that are right next to bathrooms. And then I have other ones that are in the same hallway as the bathrooms. And then these people have to walk a little bit down the hallway. And we're changing that in year 2. You can see I raised the rent in year 2 because I'm moving a couple of things around in year 2 once I make a bunch of money. Okay. This is a great story. I'll actually tell you guys the whole story of this deal to help you understand this. David, is this helpful, by the way?
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you.
Okay. So here's how I look at the number. Okay. I look at what could this house bring in on income? Well, it could bring in a lot more, but I have somebody living in this house for free, which I'll explain to you through this story in a couple of minutes. I look at the gross income. Okay, I can bring in that much money. I then take out 8% roughly for the occupancy, because all my pad splits are occupied all year round, 92%. Okay, so I take that and I just go a little bit over 8%. And then I take out PadSplit's management fee. Okay, PadSplit manages my property. So they find my tenants, they collect the money, they help me out with all that kind of stuff. And so my actual yearly income after vacancy, because I'm planning my vacancy, and after my management fee is $82,000. That's crazy. So somebody's going to manage the property for me. Somebody's going to collect the money. They're going to find the tenants. I'm going to assume vacancy in these, and I still bring in $82,000 a year. That's pretty awesome, right? Okay, well, of course, I've got my electrical, my water, my internet, my landscape, my cleaning, my maintenance, right? I have $3,000 in there a month in just little maintenance stuff. Gas, we actually don't have gas on this property. So that's kind of nice. Insurance on the property. Pool expense is actually, this is one of the reasons why you don't want a pool in a co-living property, is because look at that. My pool expense is like $500 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. I could be making 22 grand. Think about this. If I just, you know how much it would cost me to fill in that pool? 5 grand. I can fill the pool in for 5 grand. And so we might do that in year 2 for year 3. But right now I got to maintain that pool until I, bring in enough money I can afford to fill it up. But check this out. My first year net in my pocket. Okay. That's after my private money lender. I brought in a private money lender. I'll break this down for you in a minute. That's after my principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. I took over somebody's payment. That's my insurance, my pool, my maintenance, for my handyman, cleaning, okay, landscape, internet, electric, water, everything, pool, vacancy, and PadSplit management fee. I still make $16,000 in a year. That is significant, right?
Yeah.
And as I change a couple of things around in year 2, okay, I bump rent in a couple of the rooms and I get rid of the pool. This property is enough to put $25,000 in my pocket after every last expense. And the best part is the property will never be vacant. Never. It'll never be vacant. I have a waiting list for this house. Okay. So when you look at a house like this, it kind of just shows you, man, why would I ever do a regular rental ever again? I can help 9 people have a really cute house and place to live. And in the process, like David, how many of these houses would you need in order to quit your job and never worry about money again? 4, 8, 12?
Yeah, I would need a few for sure.
Okay, cool. So let's just say that I want to make $300,000 a year. I need 12 rentals total, right? I need 12 rentals total in my entire portfolio to literally never worry about money again if I want to make 300 grand a year. That is what's so cool about co-living. Versus, okay, if we go to a regular rental rate, okay, the average renter or the average landlord on a regular rental is netting about $2,000 a year. So that means I have to go and buy 150 rentals to have the same cash flow as 12 co-living.
That's wild.
Wild.
That is wild.
It's so wild that this is where the motivation comes from, right? There's so much money to be made in co-living that it's bonkers. Like I can give free rent away in one of the rooms because it makes so much money. I can just help somebody out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
Okay.
really appreciate you doing this because I've heard you talk about co-living in other videos, sort of tangentially or whatever, kind of glossing over, but having this explanation like this, it's really eye-opening. So I really appreciate
The
it.
challenging thing with YouTube is people are so hard to keep their attention nowadays, right? Everybody's brain rotted from TikTok and Instagram, and they're all searching for dopamine. And so with YouTube, I get a lot of criticism. People are like, you'll see people. I actually had a comment today on one of my YouTube videos that was like, well, of course you didn't give all the detail and blah, 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 blah. I'll actually pull it up. I'll show you guys. I deal with this all the time, but I want you guys to understand why this happens. You'll get people that say, there was a guy on my YouTube or my live I did yesterday. Oh, here it is. I did a live yesterday and I talked about creative finance. And there was a guy that came on here and he said, he says, do a video on a breakdown of a couple of recent RV park deals. Dive into the details, numbers, terms, rates, PMP, that's private money partner terms. And I was like, I believe in, my answer was, I did that. Go watch those. There are 4 of them from last month. You got this. I believe in you. You can be resourceful and find them. Okay. Those videos are lives. Okay. They were long lives. And so what happens is people that are like you, David, that want to be part of the energy that you feel on a live, you guys come in here and you guys are okay with me not having to entertain you every 4 seconds. And we don't have to have, jump cuts to keep your little brains attached. You're way more intelligent than the people on regular YouTube. But then I take those long videos and I put them on YouTube, and those people, 99% of people, can't watch 6 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. They cannot watch 6 minutes if it's not hypercut and all these things, and it doesn't feel like TikTok. And so the reality is I've talked about these things, but the best place to come is on a live, because I can address the audience. Like, you made a great question in the side chat. I can bring you up here and we can actually jam and I can have a conversation with you, because I know people are feeling the same way you are about these questions. And by the way, your question's freaking awesome. So any other questions that you have about this? Do you want me to tell you the story of this deal, how I found it, how I structured it, all of that kind of stuff, so that maybe you can ask a question or two?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, you're hanging with me for a little bit?
I'm here to learn from you, sir.
Okay, cool. Some people have an attention span of 14 minutes and they, some people leave. Has anybody gotten inspired by this so far? Can I get a yes in the side chat if you've been inspired? Like, this is freaking awesome. I freaking love this. Wow, this is incredible. I'm going to stick around with Pace for the next couple of days. Awesome. We've got on YouTube, I have about 400, 500 people watching on YouTube, and we got 1,300 people on Zoom. So 1,700 people total. Thank you guys so much. I'm really grateful that anybody wants to hear anything I have to say. So let's talk about where we find these deals. Somebody says, what about section 32? Let's stay on topic, my friends. Let's stay on topic. Okay, so where did I find this deal? I'll show you guys quickly where I find some of these deals, and we'll talk more in depth about this on Wednesday, day 3. But the place that I found this deal was actually from a homeless person named Maddie. Have you heard that story, David?
I have, yeah.
Okay, cool. So the story of Maddie, a lot of you guys should go and watch my YouTube channel and hear the story of Maddie. But last year in April, so about a year ago, I get an email from a lady named Maddie. I'll keep this short for the people who've heard this, guys, so don't get your attention spans bothered, okay? So Maddie emails me, and she says, hey, Pace, I'm homeless, and I need help. Will you please, answer my call and help me out? I know I've been watching your YouTube channel long enough to know that you love helping people, and I'm one of those people that just really needs your help. And her email basically told me that she lived really close to me. And I was like, oh, this is too easy. Like, I could go pick you up. I could help you. And her first email she sent me was, let's see, April 8th, 2025. So we're not even a year away. And this lady's life has changed so dramatically. You can't even recognize her now. It's crazy. But here's her first email she ever sent me right here. I just pulled it up. Good morning, Pace. Straight lace, no chase. 911 needs special treatment. Please and thank you kindly. I want to be the next SubTo success story. SubTo is the name of my private community where I do all my deals. My family in CBI. CBI is the name of the shelter she lived at, Community Bridges International. They said it won't happen. But if you, with the help of the good Lord, take me by the hands and walk me through step by step and start to finish, then I can use your foolproof system. Remember, don't leave people behind. I currently live in a shelter in Mesa. Okay. So why did I help this lady? I helped this lady because I thought this would be an amazing story to share on YouTube. And so I replied back to her and just said, I'd love to help you, but you got to sign a media release so I can give away all this content. And she said, yes. And so the second reason I wanted to help her, the first reason I want to help her is because I wanted to give away the content to everybody that is broke. They can't afford to join my community. I still want to help them. And so I gave 70 hours of Maddie content away for free. And I knew I was going to do that. And I planned all of that. Now I'm writing a book about my experience with Maddie as chapter 1 through 4. And I've got 4 other characters I'm in the process of helping as well. One lady with MS, I'm moving to her town next month to help her, same exact thing. And then I've got 3 other people I'm helping as well. I'll talk about more of that on Wednesday a little bit. But I was really motivated to help her for that reason. I thought, if this lady lives this freaking close to me, I could document all of this and I could just give it away to the world and, just help people. Cool. Then also there's a selfish part of me. The selfish part of me is like, I'm so sick and tired of the same question that gets asked all the time. And that question is, how do I get started? 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 And if you just typed in YouTube and you typed in Pace Morby, how to get started, I've made 50 YouTube videos about it's like, bro, half the reason my voice hurts all the time is because of that one question. So I thought, all right, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a book called Start Here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Maddie as my first character. Okay. And guys, this is important. You're like, you're teaching me about co-living Pace, but you're talking about a homeless person. Please relax. just please relax. I promise you, I don't derail. There's a reason for everything I say. This is important to the story. It will help you understand, number one, that if a homeless person living in a shelter can do what I'm talking to you guys about, then you can do this too. Okay. So this story is important to our training today and tomorrow and the next day because it proves that anybody can do this, even a homeless person. Okay. Well, Paige, she had you. Okay. I got it. But let me tell you the story and help you understand a little bit more context. So I wanted to really take Maddie, and she inspired me to go and write this book called Start Here. And I'm currently in the process of writing this book. Maddie is, it basically is like taking 5 people that have the largest excuses on planet Earth, right? And taking those excuses, and instead of just talking in a book, I actually wanted to take real life people, and I wanted to prove to the world that if I took real life people with these problems, then we can go and solve these, and we can show people how to do them too. So what do you think is the number one excuse everybody has when getting started in real estate, David, and everybody else? What's the number one excuse?
No money.
Okay, so no money. You are so correct. No money. I have no money. Do you think Maddie would be a really good example of somebody I could help that has no money?
Yeah.
It was like a gift from God. It was like God put Maddie in this horrible situation. And what I told Maddie when I first met her is I said, God put you on the street on purpose. And she's like, what? Why would you say that? And I said, because there's going to be about 1 million people that watch your content that you and I do together that will be inspired by your situation. Maddie, your pain, your trauma is going to have strong purpose. You are a tool of God. And let me utilize this tool. Let me go show people that anybody without money can go and do this business. Okay. And so she says, okay. She signs the media release. And so that's the first excuse. What's another excuse, David, you can think of?
No time.
Okay. No time. I love that. No time. I'm selecting, I just chose my third person that is my no time person for my book. And I haven't announced her yet, but I'm about to announce her. You know what? I'll announce her on day 3 of this challenge. You guys want me to announce the day 3 person? I'll announce the day 3 person on, or I'm sorry, this excuse, this person, the no time person. This is a busy mother who has multiple kids, married, trying to do all the things, has a job, multiple jobs, taking care of her mom's business, so many things. This lady has more things going on than you can imagine. But she's not the next excuse that I'm attacking. The next excuse I'm attacking is somebody who is disabled, right? I'm physically incapable of doing the thing. And so I have a girl, her name is Jennifer Lindsay. I already announced her back in December. A lot of people have already seen that announcement. I'm moving to her house in San Antonio next month, and I'm helping her build a portfolio all around co-living in San Antonio. And I will build a portfolio of 3 houses with her, side by side with her. And I will do that in 1 week. And she will be a character in my book. So pretty freaking cool, right? She has multiple sclerosis, so she can't even move physically. She has a 12-year-old daughter, and she's a single mom because her husband died in 2023 for Alzheimer's. Anybody feel like you have a worse situation than this? Guys, PadSplit questions are going to be answered tomorrow. Please hang with me. This is important. So this book has been really become a passion of mine, and it does lead into the co-living answer. So please hang with me. Okay. How large are the rooms once you've the smallest I'll do a room. Hey, will you kick out Sean Ledbetter? He's trying to promote a deal. Will you kick out Sean Ledbetter? Guys, don't promote anything in here. Shakira, you're promoting your blink in here. We're going to kick you out. Don't promote any stuff in here. Okay. Please. So there you go. Look in the side chat, right? Steve Barba says, I'm watching from my job as an accounting manager, and I have an autistic son, so I have no time. So I want to point something out to you guys. I don't care if you're one of these technical people that just want me to talk about technical things all the time. You guys are losers. And I'll tell you why you're a loser. is because the technical stuff does not get you to take action. The technical stuff gives you dopamine and makes you feel like you're taking action. It's not. What you really need is you need proof that other people like you with your problems are also doing it. Therefore, you can then do it. In fact, you don't need more information. You need more courage. Stop and write that down. You nerds that are like, give me the size of the square footage of the spreadsheets, which will answer. You guys that ask those questions are looking for more information. You don't need more information. You need more courage. And so a lot of these stories I talk about, people that are broke, destitute, physically injured, or sick, or they're overwhelmed with their daily life. If I can show you in real life that these people are doing it, it eliminates your lack of courage and it gets you to take action. And so what would you rather me do? I've been teaching for a long time. I have more millionaires than any real estate educator on the planet by a long shot. Robert Kiyosaki, I put that man to shame. I love him. He's great, but I put him to shame. You don't need more information. You need more courage. I'm going to give you 80% information on this next 3 days, but I'm going to give you 20% of courage. And that's what I'm doing right now is I'm giving the 20% of courage that actually will make you do the work. So for you nerds that are like, just give me the spreadsheet and the square footage and the you're not going to take action with any of that information. If you were, you could have watched my YouTube channel. I got 3,700 YouTube videos, or literally 3,700 YouTube videos. It's not going to help you. More information is not going to help you. Me giving you information wrapped in courage and proof that other people are doing it, that will actually make it stick and give you permission that your other peers are doing the same thing. Ask me how I know. Because the first 5 years I taught, it was all straight lace, no chase, as Maddie said in that email. Okay, so hang with me, be patient. I promise I teach long, but you're here live. So what else are you going to do? Okay. All right. So I will get to how this deal got done, but I want to point out to you why I'm doing and what I love doing. And other people are doing this right now in real time that also don't have time. Right. And this lady, Jennifer Lindsay, if you know, what was interesting, David, is that as I did the Maddie content over the last year, we released about 6 YouTube videos about Maddie and documented her journey. I'm sure you've seen some of them. Doubt you've seen all of them because, you know, it's stretched out over a year, but I'm sure you've seen enough of them to understand the story. What do you think was the number one piece of feedback I got about Maddie?
About her?
Yeah, like why couldn't they do it? And she,
Oh, because you were there helping her, because she had you.
yeah, that was a big one. But what was funny is they didn't identify with her because she was homeless.
Oh, okay.
Crazy. It's like, you know, you're a white dude, I can tell. So you will usually, your algorithm will be full of white dudes. Okay. I attract every type of people you can imagine. Our community is 50% women. We have tremendous amount of diversity in our community, but your algorithm typically is going to be other people that look like you, sound like you, et cetera. It's just how it is. And so what happened is a lot of people just didn't take a lot of, there was a lot of people that took action, but significantly less than I planned because it was like, well, she's homeless and I'm not homeless. My DMs were full of people that are like, well, do you have any like instructions for people that aren't homeless? And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
bro, the lady's sleeping on a cot in a room full of 50 other women with a broken phone doing these deals the same way I'm going to teach you over the next 3 days. If she can do it, anybody can do it. But I learned through the Maddie content that I needed to go find 5 more people that were like completely different demographics to try and show people that like, oh, somebody like you, similar age, you know, your sex, your height, your eyeball color can do it too. And so I went on a mission to write this book. And one of the first deals that got done was a co-living deal, which we'll jump into here in a minute. The other excuses. So the first excuse that everybody has is no time, right? The first excuse first excuse is no money. Maddie handled that like a pro, and we got all that contents on YouTube. She's character number 1 of the book. She's chapter 1 through 4 or 5, I think. The next person is injured or physically not capable. I'm not capable of doing this. I'm too old. I'm physically ill. I have cancer. I'm going to die. Like that is actually a very common excuse or problem that people believe they have. It's usually actually too old is very similar to I'm not capable, right? And so I'm taking somebody who has MS, multiple sclerosis, She has a 12-year-old daughter by herself, so single mom, 12-year-old daughter, and her husband has passed away, and she can't even physically move. Okay, I'm taking that person and I'm moving to her house in San Antonio, so she'll be character number 2, chapters 5 through 11. And then I just named somebody. Nobody knows this person besides Saravi on my team, but I have a lady who is so busy. She's running her mom's business. She's running a family of multiple kids. She's married, so she's got wife duties and she takes care of a house. She has a job, all of these things. So busy, right? Somebody who's overly busy, and I have a lack of time. I will be moving to this lady's neighborhood and her house, not San Diego. She's in California, so I'll be moving to California in August and doing this with her for a week. Then the next excuse that I get a lot is, what do you guys think it is? I'm curious. What do you guys think are the other excuses that I get all the time? No education, bad credit, just being lazy. Oh, that's good. That's a good one. The book answers like, where do I start? So no, I'm not going to do like a person that's about like every single one of these people doesn't know where to start, right? Fat and tired, confidence, experience, money. Okay. All the above. Somebody says all of the above. That's me. Bad credit. People are on food stamps. I mean, guys, like if somebody's on food stamps, they're rich compared to freaking Maddie. You know what I'm saying? Like Maddie had nothing, like literally nothing. She didn't even have a bank account. She had nothing. Okay. Cool. Deanne's like, don't know how to find a seller. Well, obviously, I teach all of these people how to find sellers, but their excuse of why they don't start is what I'm looking for. Fear. Okay. Fear is a big one. All right. Fear is another one. Like, I'm so afraid of my own shadow. So that's another person, right? Somebody who's maybe learned for 10 plus years, but has not taken any action. That is a very, very common excuse. Give me a guilty if you guys are guilty of this. All right. Like you've been learning from me or other people and you literally just don't take any action. Okay. Give me a guilty in the side chat. Cool. So the point is, I'm writing this book, and this book is individual characters where I'm actually moving to their house. And what I'm doing, check this out. If you guys are in my private community, please check this out. This is cool. David, you don't sound like you're in my community, right?
Not yet.
I can tell. Like it's weird how I can tell, but I can tell you're not in my community. So check this out. What I'm doing is I'm inviting, this is me. I'm going and pairing up with these individuals that I'm naming. The next one is Jennifer, and I'm going to San Antonio. What I'm doing is I'm getting a big warehouse, and I'm inviting 500 people to pair up with other students of mine in my SubTo community to be in the same building as me and Jennifer work together side by side for one full week. And I'm charging $0 for this. I'm getting sponsors, I'm getting all sorts of stuff. And I'm filming all of this, of course, and then I'm going to put the results in my book called Start Here. But if you guys are in SubTo, please know that in about 2 weeks, we're going to have a sign-up sheet for this. And we have 4 of these coming up this year. The event is called Zero to Hero. I'm not charging for it. You just have to be in the private community. And this kind of eliminates, David, as you brought up earlier, a lot of people said, well, Pace, you were helping Maddie in person and you are not helping us in person. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, well, 500 people should come and follow me in person, and we'll document even their stories, and we'll put that in the book as well as like some bonus chapters and whatnot. So if you guys are in SubTo, can I get a me in the side chat? Give me a me in the side chat if you guys are in SubTo. Okay, cool. So make sure you guys pay attention to the announcement section in our private community. In the next week, I will be announcing how to sign up for this for free. You just have to be inside of SubTo. Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. So now to the story about this deal. Okay. So I take Maddie and I explain to Maddie, well, Maddie's got a couple of problems, right? David, what's her problem? Her problem is she's been on the streets for 4 years. like literally sleeping on the streets. And then she goes into a shelter, and the shelters usually give her 90 days. So she goes in and out of shelters, back on the street, shelters, etc. What happened with Maddie, you need to understand this so you don't just think she's some random homeless person. She is a random homeless person to me, but when she was 55, her husband was murdered. Okay. And they were in Connecticut. I don't know what the murder thing is. I actually have been friends with her for a year, and I don't want to dig into it. It's not my business. But he was murdered when she was 55. She's now 60. Okay. When I met her, she was 59. Now she's 60. And obviously, she wasn't the breadwinner, right? She raised the kids. The kids are off doing their own thing now. Dad gets killed. She doesn't have income anymore. She goes to work for UPS. She physically can't cut it. She's at 55. Loses her job, moves in with a friend, sells her car, sells this. She's trying to stay alive. And then she just says one day, I think maybe I should just sleep on a park bench for a couple of days until I figure this out. And then one thing turns into another. And next thing you know, she's on the streets for 4+ years, and she has no family to help her out. And her sons were struggling on their own. And so they didn't have a place to help her out either. And they lived across the country, and she couldn't get there. It's a whole thing. Cool. So I went with Maddie, and I said, Maddie, obviously step number one for us is we need to get you into a house. We need to get you to own a house. And I already know how I'm going to do that. She's like, Pace, how can I afford a monthly payment on a house? I'm like, that's so easy, Maddie. We're going to do a co-living deal, and you're going to live in the house in one of the bedrooms for free, and you'll co-own the house with me. And we're going to rent out the other 9 bedrooms so that it covers the payment and covers the utilities and covers the cleaning. And you get to live in this house for free. And she's like, that's not possible. I don't have credit. I don't have money. I'm like, oh, you don't need any of that garbage. Like, I don't know where that that's crazy. That's the craziest thing ever. You don't need money. You don't need cash. You don't need credit. You, a homeless person, can do this. And I said, but what I want to do is I want to give you a foundational skill set, and I want you to find a deal for me, and I want to put some money in your pocket. So we're going to go step 0. And I taught her how to find deals. Okay. And she made $5,000 on her first deal. I bought a property. I'll pull it up. I taught her how to source deals, which I'll teach you guys tomorrow. And the next day, I'll teach you how to source deals a little bit today, a lot more on day 3. And what happened is Maddie found a deal within 20 days of learning from me. And she only worked on it for about 45 minutes a day, maybe 3-4 days a week. She got distracted multiple times, but she stayed on it. And within 20 days, let's see, title. We pulled this photo of her and me getting her first check. Here she is. So Maddie gets her first check within like 20 days. Okay. I met her in April. On April 8th, she sent me that email. The first time I hung out with her was like the last week of April. And here she is getting her first check. We signed the deal like May 15th. So about 20 days from the day she got started. And then she got this check, $5,000. Okay. So what I want to point out to you guys is another point about this is that what I'm teaching you, you don't have to buy the properties. You don't have to buy the properties. You can assign these properties and make $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. You don't need to keep the properties if you're not ready to build a portfolio. Okay. I call it either being a deal finder or a deal keeper. I'm at a point in my career, and I have been for the last probably 8-9 years, that I'm a deal keeper, and I like to train people to be deal finders. And Maddie, once she became a deal finder, she got a check for $5,000. I bought the deal. She just had to put me in touch with the person that had the deal, and I bought it. Ironically, it was one of my students. And she brought the deal to me. It was already under contract. I bought the deal. She made $5,000 in the process. Okay. And she was like, I'm now ready to own my own property. Like, good. That was the main thing. Getting your first check, my friends, is not even about the check. This is what was so cool with Maddie. When Maddie and I were hanging around and I went and picked up this check with her, I was like, what's the best part about this $5,000? She's like, I don't care about the $5,000. Guys, this is coming from a homeless person. I don't care about the $5,000. What she cared about was the paradigm shift, that she just now had her eyes open to the everything I taught her that I'm teaching you guys over the next couple of days. everything that I taught her now is possible. It's real and she can do it. And I said, oh, okay, that's cooler than the $5,000 check. She goes, yeah, this is $5,000. Knowing that I can do this over and over and over is millions of dollars. And the fact that I can even say that out loud is mind blowing. And I want to point something out to you. Okay. This is important for the people, right before I get back into the technical structures. This is important for the people that need the permission. Okay. The people that need the permission, I want to point something out. That same day on May 30th, let me pull up May 30th for you guys. So we go to pick up the check, right, for her first deal. And what happens is the bank would not give her the check. Or I'm sorry, they wouldn't release the funds into her bank account. Okay. Here's us. I'll kind of go through these photos with you guys. Here's us at the bank or at the title company. You guys have already seen this photo, but let's go through a couple of other things. Here's us at the title company. Here's us getting into my Prius. You can see my credit, my Prius says no credit. Look at her. Okay, so this is us picking up her check. And then here's her bank. And check her out. This is her little look at her. I think she just like dances and she's like so pumped up. Look at her blocking this guy from getting in the bank. Right? Like, so she goes in the bank. I go sit in my Prius. She comes back and tells me like, hey, they're not letting me deposit my check. This guy's super sweet, super nice guy, but he basically is like, you can't deposit this check. You have no money. Your bank account was closed 4 years ago. Right? Like this is what she's dealing with. She just got paid for the first time. She has one pair of clothes. And this is what this lady's dealing with. She's dealing with a lot more than 99.9% of the people on this Zoom right now. And so we're going through and I convince him to, hey, what, dude, let's just set up a new account. She doesn't have proper ID. She doesn't have a resident. She doesn't have a place to receive mail. Do you know how hard it is to open up a bank account when you're homeless? Like, holy moly, guys. Like this lady's dealing with a lot more than you can even imagine. Okay. And so she's dealing with all this stuff. There's the settlement statement, proof that she closed the deal. She got the check in the bank. I had to prove to this guy, he was a sweet guy, so no criticism of him, but I had to prove to this guy that she actually got that check from a legitimate title company. I called the title company. Hey, can you verify? Did all that stuff. And they gave her, pay attention to this, out of the 5,000 she deposited, took about an hour. They were great. No criticism at all. I understand why they were doing what they were doing, but she on the drive there, she's like, oh my gosh, I could like stay in a hotel. I could have a private shower. Like guys, I could cry thinking about this thing that I went through with her a year ago, not even a year ago, 9 months ago. She was so excited about a hot shower. Some of y'all had 2 hot showers today. She hadn't had like her own hot shower in over 4 years. Why? Either on the street or in a shelter where a ton of women are sharing showers, taking up all the hot water, et cetera. And the shelter is not like trying to get the nicest things or the nicest whatever. So she's like, I could have a hot shower. I could go to Walmart, buy a fresh pair of clothes. Like I could choose my clothes. She's like taking secondhand clothes that don't fit her entirely. And she's got shoes that don't fit her. She's got, what was funny is she has these cute little And One brand shoes. One pair was one size, or one shoe was one size, the other shoe was another size, because that's how they came to her in a donation. So she's excited. I'm going to get $5,000 and I'm going to go spend $300 hotel for a couple of nights. And I'm going to spend $100 on an outfit at Walmart. She was pumped about that. So we go to the bank and she gets $100 released to her, $100 released to her. And the rest of the money was held for, I think they put on hold for 14 days, right?
Gosh.
Yeah, right. So like she's just pumped up, let down, no big deal. Let me show this to you guys so you guys can be very clear that you can do this too. Okay. So we leave the bank. Look at her sweet smile. She is so happy. She is so excited. She then explains to my team, Okay, I got to turn. You guys can't hear the volume, can you, David?
I can't hear it now.
Okay, let me make sure I can share the volume with you guys, and this will help you guys understand where deals come from. I promise. Just chill out, okay? Um, okay, so you can see. Hold on, it says. Let me make sure I do this the right way. Share sound. Okay, cool. So I can't remember even what she said. What'd they say about your account?
They said that they were going to close my account. I opened it back in April, and because I couldn't make a deposit, they sent me an email saying,
okay, anyway, she was talking about how her account's upside down and all this kind of stuff, whatever. Then this is a video, I think, of her thanking my team.
$100. It's a few $1,000.
Yeah, it's 5 G's.
Talk about going from zero to hero. Like, seriously.
Think about the team, too. You know, what's cool is that the team, like Shelly and Jade and Jamil and everybody, you know, they've been following the journey. So it's cool to see everybody's been rooting for you.
Yes, you know? And that's even more exciting because that's what, like, that keeps me encouraged too, to know that like all these people are following the story, right?
Okay, cool. So look at her spirits, right? This is after she was just told they were only going to give her $100. She's going to have to have me drive her back to the shelter. So this is her shelter. I take her back to her shelter, and you guys need to understand, like, this ain't your life. I wanted to make sure I sent this to my wife. Like, look, Maddie got her first deal. The bank wouldn't release the money to her, so she had to go back into the shelter. And you guys might ask, well, why didn't you just help her? Okay, you see that little door they have? They have this little outdoor thing. They make her strip butt naked, take everything off. They have a female officer come and check for drugs and needles and all of that kind of stuff. This lady just got her first real estate deal with no money, no cash, no credit, no experience, no license. And she's getting told to break down naked, make sure she doesn't have drugs so she could go back into her women's shelter. Right? Like, this, in my opinion, is more important than the technical side of things. I'm going to teach you what I taught Maddie and how she got the deal, but you need to understand I've taught this to people before, thousands of times, and I've helped 15,000 people quit their job. I've helped, man, people are getting married because of me. People are having more kids because of me. People are buying their first house, retiring because of me. But still, people that are new to me don't know how much I freaking care. I care so much. And so for you guys, you need to understand, I'll teach you the technical side, but you will continually fight your mindset of, is this possible for me? Can I do this without any money? And then you'll also get discouraged when you run into a couple of no's. Okay, Maddie turned into, she took 39 no's. She got 39 no's to get that first deal, to get a yes. Then here's what's cool about Maddie. So I have to drop her off at the shelter. People in my Instagram store or in my Instagram DMs are like, why don't you just let her live in your guest house, you rich piece of crap? Like, because then the story is not authentic. It's not real. I didn't buy her any food. I didn't give her any money. She wanted me to buy her Windex. The first week guys, like, literally wanted me to buy her Windex. She wanted Windex so she could clean her little bed at her shelter. And I said, no, I would not buy her Windex. I would not give her lunch. I wouldn't buy her anything, nothing. I bought her nothing. I gave her nothing, no money, no cell phone, no resources, nothing. I gave her education and I gave her guidance. Yes, my energy is powerful. And yes, being held accountable is also very important. And then also I put her in touch with some of my students that are in Arizona so she could source deals with them and whatever else. And so the network was definitely something, but I give that to people all over the place as well. And she gets her deal. I have to drop her back off the shelter. And she says to me, she goes, this is good because if I stayed in a hotel tonight, I'd probably watch a movie. And if I watched a movie, then I'm going to be distracted. And if I'm going to be distracted, then us getting to your game plan for me, which was finding her a deal and then getting her into a house where she could live in it, she's like, that's not going to happen. If I'm distracted, it's not going to happen. God wanted me to go back into this shelter. So she goes back in the shelter. All right. Now, her check clears and she is like, I can't be in the shelter anymore. I have one more day. I need to get the heck out of here. We need to get working. And so here's where we got the deal. Okay. She had some money in her account. And so what she did is she was like, I want to go fast. I need to go fast, 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 fast. And I said, okay, great. What we're going to do now, you got like $100. We went into Deal Sauce. Okay. And she goes into Arizona, Maricopa County, and she looked for houses that were upside down that fit her criteria of a house that she would want to live in. Okay. So we went on market. Write this down, you technical people. All you technical nerds in here, write this down. I'm giving you some technical data. All you technical freaking nerds in here. Okay. So Maricopa County, that's where we are. Okay. Phoenix, Arizona. Obviously, there's so many opportunities in Maricopa County. It's just overwhelming. 1.4 million opportunities for investors. That's too many, right? So I taught her to go into the pain filter. And I said, we need to find people who are actively listed. Okay, so 16,800 houses are actively listed right now. And I said, let's go find people that are in foreclosure. And I want you to find houses that are vacant. Okay, so when you see me click on those buttons, okay, I'm going to take out vacancy. You can now see foreclosures go to 292. I unclick foreclosures and it goes to active listings or 16,000. So if I click on active listings, I now know out of those active listings, there's only 292 of them are actively being foreclosed on. Okay. Then I could go to low equity, which I really like low equity. Okay. Low equity. Vacant. Oh my gosh, guys, check it out. What does this tell you as a story? Somebody's trying to sell a house. They're actively listed on the market with a real estate agent. The house is in foreclosure. It also has low equity, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And the house is vacant. So David, how much pain is this seller in right now?
That's a world of hurt. Yeah.
That's a world of hurt, right? The house has no equity. It's in foreclosure. They're behind on payments and they already moved out or they vacated the property and it's on the market trying to sell. So Maddie then goes over to these. Okay, this is a good one actually right here. This first one, maybe I'll call this one tomorrow. Absentee owner, house is out. They moved out. The retail rate, who cares about that? It doesn't matter to me. Low equity, foreclosure. This is pain, a lot of pain on an 1,800 square foot house. If you remember at the very beginning, this is my minimum. I look for a 3-bed, 2-bath with 1,800 square feet. That's my minimum size. Cool. So that's probably a co-living deal. We can call them tomorrow. There's another one. Okay. Palm, foreclosure. Absentee owner, active listing, vacant, low equity. That's a that's a multi-layered burrito right there. 1,872 square feet hits my minimum 3-bed, 2-bath. It also has a garage. So I already know I can take this house. Okay. It's on a corner. I like that. Let's just look at these photos just real quick. Cute little house. It's already renovated. This is very similar to Maddie's deal. It was already renovated, cleaned up, ready to go. Okay. New showers, new everything. They're having a hard time selling this thing and they're losing their house. They're losing it. It's in foreclosure. Okay. So Maddie goes and finds the house that we talked about. I already showed it to you. I already went through the photos. So when somebody says, well, I wasn't here. Well, you showed up late, you knucklehead. You should have been here on time. Okay. So Maddie brings this to me and she says, hey, can we set an appointment to go and talk to this person? I said, yes. So what I did is I had her call the real estate agent. And she called the real estate agent and she found out that that real estate agent had been fired for not being able to sell the house. And okay, so David, was I clear on where she got her house from? Was I clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Somebody here, between the 1,700 people we have here, somebody's gonna be like, you didn't say where she got the house. Believe it or not, I've been teaching for a long time. It's crazy. But the answer is she went to Deal Sauce. She used a filter that I just gave you, which is on market, means somebody's actively selling it, means that you don't have to guess and cold call them and say, Do you want to sell? You already know they want to sell. It's on the freaking market. They're trying to sell it, right? It's in foreclosure, which means they're behind on payments, means there's financial pain. Okay. Then the house is vacant, which means that they're in so much pain that they moved out of the house and they're somewhere else. So, okay, got it. And then we got low equity, which I'll talk about now in about 2 minutes. You got all these layers of pain. And so she calls the real estate agent who's representing the seller, and the real estate agent says, I actually got fired a couple of days ago. But you can call the person that I think the seller sold to. Okay. So agent actually gives us the phone number, and the phone number of the person is a guy named Gordon Strand, who's one of my students, one of my SubTo students. And Maddie calls him up, sets an appointment, and says, can I buy the deal from you? And so he says, yeah, I just got it under contract yesterday. Okay. Doing exactly the same thing. What did he do? He called the agent. The agent said no to him. No. I will not let you buy the house and take over the payments. The agent gets fired, and Gordon then calls the seller directly and works out a SubTo deal where he gave the seller no money down. Okay. Now, why would the seller do no money down? Well, I just told you. Here's what was going on with the seller. Seller had an Airbnb failing. House is fully renovated. This is very common. Literally, I just showed you guys the top house on the top of the list that I just showed you is another house that's been fully renovated that they can't sell. Okay. I didn't put that there. That's there. Can I get a yes? You guys are following me today. You guys give me a yes in the side chat. You guys are following me. Cool. Anybody else inspired by Maddie? Feel like you can do this too. Okay. All right. Awesome. Turning the side chat off. So, it was a failing Airbnb. This is why I think Airbnb is total crap. Most of the deals I'm finding nowadays are failing Airbnbs. Okay. And I like that because this knucklehead over here, this guy that was the Airbnb person that learned how to go find Airbnbs, went and spent all his hard-earned money on renovating the property for me. So I don't have to buy the property and worry about raising money to renovate the property. He's now in foreclosure because the house is not performing. He obviously is vacant and it's low equity. What does low equity mean? It means the bank he owed money to was about, let's see, what did I buy the property for? We're going to pull that up. 39th Street. Hold on a second, guys. I apologize, but I got to make sure that we give you guys all the right information because I do have nerds here with me today. You guys think I don't like nerds. I love nerds, but I got to call them out. They're the ones that get in their own way. If I misquote a number by $1, they're like, you lied. You didn't give us the right number. Okay, here we go. Let's pull this back up. And you guys can see what I bought it for. Okay, so here's the house, 406. So David, why is that purchase price so specific? Have you ever seen a listed house for $406,686?
No, that's what he owed on it?
That's what he owed, right? So we took over the payments. We gave the seller $0. This is exactly what he owed to the bank. Now, of course, his Airbnb educator that he paid $60,000 to, by the way, I talked to the seller. Seller paid $60,000 to some real estate like Airbnb educator. Of course, that educator never told him, hey, bro, when this Airbnb thing inevitably fails, you should take that house and just convert it into co-living. Of course, he didn't say that, but this guy had a 2.9% interest rate.
Sweet.
2.9% interest rate on this house. And he's in foreclosure, not knowing what to do. Meanwhile, a homeless person understands more about this house than a guy who spent 60 grand in real estate education because I gave that information to her and taught her there's way better strategies. Look, I've liked Airbnb in the past. It just has a time and a place, right? So he falls behind. What happened is he bought the house. Okay. He bought the house for $425,000. He bought it with a VA loan. So he put almost no money down. Okay. So if he put almost no money down, when he goes to sell the property and he puts it back on the market for 450, but he owes the bank like 425, how much equity does he have? You guys, some new people will think he has $25,000 in equity. Of course he does not have $25,000 in equity. He owes the bank, he owes the bank 425. If he sold it for 450, which he didn't, obviously, he would have negative $20,000 in equity. And here's why. When you sell a house for 450, the average cost to sell that house, this is very important for you guys to understand. You don't think this is co-living. It is co-living. How do I get the deal? How do I buy it with no money out of my pocket? How do I get paid to buy the deal is critical to understand this. When you pull a low equity filter, what the data tells you is that this person owes more money to the bank than what the house is worth. Okay. And so this person trying to sell for 450, but they owe the bank 425, it costs 10% to sell a house of a sales price. And new people are like, wait, why would it cost 10%? I'll tell you why it costs 10%. The first one is you got a real estate agent that needs to get paid 3%. You got another real estate agent that gets paid 3%. Who pays that? The seller. The seller pays 100% of both of these commissions. Pays the seller's agent and the buyer's agent gets paid from the seller. A lot of people have no clue that that's how they get paid. Well, pays, that's only 6%. Okay. So the title company works for free. And the escrow officer works for free. And the lender works for free. All these people work for free. There's no fees. There's no inspector. There's no appraiser. There's none of that. Of course there is. And so all the other people involved is another 4%. Okay. Now you're not paying them commissions, but there's fees and expenses and all that kind of stuff. And that comes out of the seller's pocket. So if the seller sold his $450,000 house, okay, if he sold it on the real estate market, it would have cost him $45,000 to sell that and all those expenses. And he'd be left with about $405,000, but he owed the bank at this time, by the time he got here, he owed the bank $406,686. So one of my students, his name is Gordon, of course, used what I taught him and went and bought the deal, no money out of pocket. Gordon got it under contract and he sold it to Maddie. Maddie bought it. Now you're going to ask the question, how did Gordon get paid? Gordon got paid $25,000 as a finder's fee. Next question you're going to ask is you're going to go, how the heck did Maddie pay for that? Maddie's broke. I'm like, well, she's not broke. She now has $5,000. But we don't buy houses with our own money. We bring in OPM, other people's money. Okay. So here's how Maddie structured the deal. Okay. Why did she like the deal? Number one, she liked the deal because she could live in one room and rent out the other 9. And because there was availability for 10 bedrooms, there's enough cash flow that she could live there for free. If this was a 7-bedroom co-living, she couldn't live in the 7th bedroom and rent out the other 6. It wouldn't have cash flowed. She needed a larger property with more bedrooms to make this justified for her to live there. So she knew, okay, Pace, how many bedrooms do I need in order for me to get a free place to live? And I told her, you got to be at 10 so that you can rent out 9 and you can live there for free. Okay. So the way that the structure of the deal, is everybody following me? Can I get a yes that you guys are all following me in the side chat, please? Okay, cool. So what's one thing that we can learn here? There's a couple of things we can learn here is Gordon didn't want to keep the deal. Gordon, one of my other students, sold the deal and made $25,000 in the process. So Gordon, who also has a co-living portfolio, finds one deal a week inside of Phoenix, Arizona. So he's not able to buy a rental a week, not because he doesn't have the money. You don't need money to buy rentals. It's because you take time to fill the properties. You need to onboard them and get them into your portfolio. I would advise never buying more than 1 rental a month. Okay, I've bought 2-3 rentals in a week before, 4 rentals in a week before. You're doing a co-living property with 8, 9, 10 tenants, you should be doing no more than 1 a month. So when Gordon's finding 4 a month, he's wholesaling these 3 and keeping this 1. So he'll build a portfolio in 12 months of 12 rentals but then also make $1 million in finding deals for other investors. And so you can see that Gordon's playing the role that I teach, which is deal finder and deal keeper. He's upgraded to I can do both. But in the beginning, a lot of people just should be a deal finder, make 15, 20, or 25 grand helping somebody else buy a deal when they are not quite ready to buy that deal. Can I get a yes? You guys understand that very, very, very important, critical information. Okay. If you're not ready mentally to manage a rental property, especially co-living, then just find a deal for somebody else. It's the same process, right? Finding the sellers that are in pain, going through something horrible, offering creative finance subject to, and then getting those under contract, selling the contract for $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, and then finding the ones that you really want and just cherry pick. Okay. Are we all on the same page here? Can I get a yes? Okay.
It's good to understand that established guys are using both of those modalities to make money. You get money in the near term, and then you got your long term income. Yeah.
Yes. And Gordon's been in my community for now 2 years. And so he'll probably make $1 million this year. He used to run Nickelback's like tour. That's what he used to do for a living. Knew nothing about real estate. Watched me on a podcast, thought I was a scam artist, flew down to see me in person just to like suss me out. He's like, all right, I'm going to join SubTo. Does 12 deals in like his first 3 months. He's great. He's awesome. He actually, for some people on Wednesday, I'll invite you guys to come in my office. Gordon actually teaches one of the classes at my office when you come down and hang out with me for a week. Okay. So Donna says, how do we become a finder? I'll teach you more about that. Okay. How do you find the deal? Hold on a second. Isn't this crazy? David, look in the side chat. Look at the side. Like, tell me I'm crazy. How is this? Okay. Is that Stella says, how do you find the deals? How is that even physically possible? Did I not show that to everybody? David, did I show how to find the deal?
Yeah, you did.
Like very clearly.
Went through it a couple times. Yeah.
Okay. Then also it says, how did Gordon get paid on this deal? Did I also answer how that happened, or have I not been clear on that quite yet?
I believe you said it was a $25,000 assignment fee.
He got paid a finder's fee. Now the question is, where did that money come from? I think is the question you're asking. Does anybody ever feel bad for me when you see some of the comments and the questions of like, I just answered it 2 minutes ago and then somebody comes up 2 minutes later? Does anybody ever feel bad for me? Can you pray for me? Can you just pray for me tonight?
I got
Please. Like, it's crazy how hard I work and how long I go on these lives. And I have to say the same thing 17 times. Please, guys, show up on time. Please. Please show up on time. You really rob other people. Okay, cool. Rebecca says, can I ask a question about my home that my mom wants to put up for sale? We'll do a little bit of Q&A a little bit later. Okay, so where does that money come from for Maddie? Okay, where does that money come from for Maddie? Well, let's talk about that. How did she cover that assignment fee? Okay, so right here you can see entry fee. Okay, that's assignment fee, closing costs, and holding costs. So what does that 50 grand entail? Let's talk about that for a second. Okay. That 50 grand, I'm going to break that down so you guys truly understand what the heck that even means. Okay. Is that 50 grand, obviously Gordon got paid 25 of that. So that's 25,000 of that by itself. Okay. Then we've got $5,000 in closing costs because we got to pay the title company and all that kind of stuff, right? Cool. So Gordon got paid 25 grand out of that 50. I'm going to answer where this 50 grand comes from in a couple of minutes. Please hang with me. And then we've got also a couple of months of vacancy, right? Because there's a couple of months where you're filling up the house and you're getting the cash coming in. And so we put another $10,000 in there for that. And then Maddie got paid $10,000 up front for finding her own house. She got paid another 10 grand. So there's the 50K. Okay. Does everybody, I'm going to tell you where the 50K came from, but do you know where the 50 grand went to? Yes or no? Does everybody know where the 50 grand went to? Okay. You see why I have to cover things and I have to ask people to say yes in the comments now, David, because you've hung out with me. You're zeroed in. I've answered the questions. People just have a hard time following along.
Yep.
Okay. Somebody says, did Maddie get 10K or 5K? Man, y'all are wild. She got paid $5,000 on a completely different deal a month prior. Don't confuse the $5,000 with this house. She got paid the $5,000 on another deal a month prior. The $10,000 is on this house she found for herself to live in, and she structured it in a way she could get paid $10,000 for finding herself a house. They're two completely different houses, two completely different timelines. You're crazy, freaking crazy. Okay, hang with me. Stop doing your laundry while you're watching a training. You freaking crazy person. Okay, so full setup. Okay, full setup is $14,000. So we set up the property. So this is about $1,400 per bedroom. Okay, and we put in $80,000 in renovations. This was our original anticipated number. We actually did not do $80,000 in renovations. What we ended up doing was we put about $20,000 in renovations on this property. Okay, and so we raised all of this money. Okay, this money right here, my friends, we raised $84,000 from private money lenders. Okay, so she got the house for free because she took over the payments, no bank, no credit. She took over a 2.9% interest rate. Then she needed $84,000 to pay herself $10,000. Gordon got paid $25,000, closing costs, a little bit of renovation, and then setting up like furniture and all that kind of stuff in the house. She also has a surplus of cash that makes the monthly payments as tenants start moving in. So she's taken care of. That $84,000, I gave her a connection to my students who are private money lenders. And so I'll give you guys, if you guys give me a thumbs up, I will give you that same list I gave Maddie. So you don't have to complain that you don't have that list. I'll give you the same list. Okay. I'll give you that list on Wednesday. Okay. When we're wrapping up, so you don't get distracted and I can actually train you on how to use the list. I'll give you that list on Wednesday night as we wrap up. Okay. Cool. So now we know where the money came from, private money lenders. The structure of that money, please pay attention because you guys are going to ask the question. I already know you will. And there's going to be one of you guys doing laundry and you're not paying attention entirely. She raised $84,000 for the deal at 12% interest with a 5-year payback. Okay, 5-year payback. I just gave you the structure of the private money. Somebody's going to say, but how did you structure the private money? I just told you, $84,000, 12% interest yearly, 5-year payback term. Just gave it to you. You're still going to, somebody's going to still ask the question, how did you structure the private money lender? I just told you. Okay. All right. So now let's go back to the spreadsheet and we'll talk about how this property is now cash flowing. Maddie lives in the property, but this is the old spreadsheet. So I got to update a couple of things. The private money lender is $8,400 a year, not $14,000. It's $8,400. Okay. So that's the payment she makes to the private money lender, $8,400 a year, which is what, $720 a month or something like that is what she does.
$700. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. So do we understand where she got the purchase price money? Here is she took over people's payments. This is what she learns from me. It's creative finance. She took over payments. Okay. The bank loan is a 2.9% interest rate house, and the payment is roughly $2,000. That's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Then she got my private money lender list. Okay. My PML list. I'll give it to you guys too, so you guys don't complain. She gave them 12% interest. And she gave them a 5-year term. Okay, so now you know where all the money came from. Not money that she had to come up with, not money she had to come up with, not money she had to come up with. And she got paid $10,000 in this 50 grand. 10,000 of that went to her. So let me ask you a question. Do you need credit to buy rental properties? Yes or no? Do you need down payment? A W-2? Do you need your own money? Do you need, can you get paid up front to buy property? Can you be homeless? Here's a good question. Can you be homeless and still buy a property. Okay. Are you now believing that you can do this too? Okay, cool. You're a believer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And you got the address right there too. You can pull it up. Okay. All right. So now that what's great about this is I do have a YouTube video of me and her walking through the property, showing you guys the property layout and why we chose certain bedrooms to do certain things, et cetera, whatever. And you'll also see why. If you guys go type in Pace Morby, Maddie, you'll see that series of videos, or maybe we'll email it out to everybody tonight. But she will make living in the property. She gets free. Check this out, guys. Free rent. She gets free rent, free utilities. She gets free internet. She gets a free pool, free cleaning. Okay. All of that. And she makes $22,000 a year on this one freaking house. PadSplit finds the tenants for her. PadSplit fills the tenants up. PadSplit collects the money for her. The majority of the property management is done by PadSplit. So you look at a deal like this, you're like, oh my gosh, she's gonna make $22,000 a year net in her pocket. One of the rooms is free for her. Pretty freaking awesome. So let me see if I can find a photo for me. I didn't tell my wife. I don't ever tell my wife what I'm up to. I'm a hardworking dude. My wife sees the results in the bank account. But one night for one of our dates, my wife is like, I go, hey, what, you want to go on a date? We go on a date sometimes twice a week, but we go on this date and my wife's like, where are you taking me? And I go, oh, we're just going to this homeless shelter. And my wife's like, why are we going to a homeless shelter? I go, well, we're picking up a homeless lady. And I pick up Maddie. My wife starts crying. She's just like, you never cease to amaze me that you helped some lady. Is she going to live in one of your rentals? I'm like, no, we're going to drop her off at her own house. So my wife, we pick up Maddie. It's my wife right here. We go to Walgreens right by the house. And this is Maddie moving into her house. My wife went through and helped Maddie pick things that she needed to move into the house. She got, look at her little Windex. But she didn't,
Windex.
But not Windex. She got that Findex. She got that cheap freaking crappy Windex. Colored blue water, basically. Or she got the cheap stuff, right? So there's my wife, and there's one of my other students. His name's Armand. He's a good one of my good Iranian. Love him, really good guy. He's just like, dude, can I come with you guys? And he came with us. And my wife is helping her pick certain things. She's like, I can get my own cereal. This is crazy, right? So here's us dropping her off inside the house. Here's her going through. Let me see if I gave her a little. I think I got a little tour here. Let's see. Look at her dancing.
Let's find the bedroom. I think it's to the left.
So this is her bedroom right here that we're going to go into on the left.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God, this is beautiful.
You're all set up.
So this is a lady that I got an email from in April, and by August, she was fully moved in. House is renovated, ready to go. And she was able to pick the bedroom that she wanted, and she raised the money, and the same resources I'm going to give you and the same education I'm going to give you over the next couple of days is what she used. And now the difference is, of course, I'm there, right? I'm there to answer. For some of you guys that are like, I want that attention level. On Wednesday, I'll invite some of you guys to my office, but not today. So, and if you guys are in SubTo, the next time we're going to do a co-living in-person deal structuring inside the office where I'll call your sellers with you and I'll do the work with you side by side. That's happening in April. So if you're in SubTo, please email the support team. I want to see you guys in the office. Doesn't cost you guys anything if you're in SubTo. And I just want to do deals with everybody live. I love doing deals live. So yes, Maddie had that cheat code, right? She had that cheat code, but there's a house that was struggling on Airbnb. How many people want me to show you how to find a deal again? Because you weren't paying attention. Type in the word laundry. Type in the word laundry in the side chat because you knuckleheads were doing laundry. Okay, cool. So there's all the knuckleheads that want me to show you how to find a deal again. Somebody's at the gym. Cool. Folding clothes. Okay, cool. You know, folding clothes is the worst part about doing laundry, just FYI. Okay, cool. So let's go through it one more time, and then I'll open it up to David to ask me some questions if he has some. We'll go back to the internet. Okay, so here's what you do. Step number 1, Pace, where do I start? Well, you already started. We've been hanging out for 2 hours. I've given you an understanding of why co-living. I gave you an understanding of this house and how it breaks down, and how we found a house and why low equity is the right way to go. And I gave you a whole story of how other people can do this thing too. And I'll give you guys this spreadsheet tomorrow. For the people that show up on time tomorrow, I'll give you this spreadsheet so you guys can also do the same thing. So I'm going to go to a website called dealsauce.io. So I'll type in dealsauce.io. This is the software that we use. There's like a 3-day free trial. It does cost money, but this is what I taught Maddie to use. Okay. And I'm just going to go into DealSauce. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this little thing over here that says property search, and I'm going to look for residential. Yes. DealSauce has investors like private money lenders. You can find private money lenders in here. You can find creative MLS where my students have already got houses under contract that you could buy from them, but you don't want to do commercial. I'm not teaching that this month. I love teaching RV parks, mobile home parks, and apartment buildings more than anything else. We're going to talk about those things next month, but this month we're focused on co-living, which is my favorite strategy in single family. You're going to click on residential. The reason you're going to click on residential is because that's what we want. We want a residential deal. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to type in the city that you like. Okay. Let's go to, I like Houston, Texas a lot too. It's just expanding. It's growing. And in a couple of minutes, I'll also talk about why you should choose certain markets and why you should stay away from certain markets. But if you look at this, it's just a generic software that will look at you and go, you're a real estate investor, Pace. I know you are because you're using DealSauce. DealSauce is for real estate investors. And DealSauce will look for any opportunity that could fit any real estate investor's strategy. And it pulls up 762,000 opportunities. Well, I don't want 762,000 opportunities. I'm too busy. I don't have that time. So I'm going to go active listing. I'm going to find the 10,000 houses that are actively listed on the market. Guys, I'm literally going through step by step. Can I get a yes for you freaking laundry doers that I'm literally going through step by step right now? Can I get a yes that you are paying attention? Okay. I'm not joking. Please pray for me that I have to do this like 18 times for the people that don't like paying attention. Okay. Okay, cool. So step 1 is active listing. If you don't have active listing selected, you're a newbie. So you're basically praying for pain. And what do I mean by that is that if you are looking for anything but active listing, that means you're going to call like absentee owner. There's 183,000 absentee owner. You don't know if they want to sell. What about vacancies? 13,072. That's crazy. 13,000 houses in Houston are vacant. But how do I know they want to sell? I don't know they want to sell. I have to cold call them, and that's a harder strategy. And so you're going a little bit deeper by saying, okay, let me start foundationally with at least the people I know that want to sell their property. You following me on that, David?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Could I be more clear about that, or are people just busy doing laundry?
I am following you 100%. So,
Cool.
But I'm not doing laundry either. So.
Okay, cool. So you got active listing. So we know these 10,260 people have hired real estate agents, and these are on the market right now. But that's not good enough for me, right? I don't know that these people are in pain. I want to find houses I can just take over their mortgage payments without any down payment. So I'm going to click on low equity. That's my next layer. Okay. So now I've got 720 houses that are actively listed that are also potentially upside down or nearly upside down that I can just take over their mortgage payments. That's pretty good list. I like that list, but I think I could go a little bit further. I'm going to go to vacant houses. Why vacant, not pre-foreclosures? Well, when I looked at pre-foreclosures, it's only like 29. Okay. So I don't love that list. I like it. I don't love it. I like the vacancy. There's 49, which means now I will have 49 houses that are actively being sold. So I don't have to guess if they're interested in selling. They're trying to sell. I also know that they are in a bad financial situation on the house because the house doesn't have any equity. And I also know that nobody's living there. It's completely vacant. That's crazy that we can find that out in 2026, isn't it? So there you are. And look at it. The first one I find is 2,138 square feet, 4-bed, 2-bath. I could buy that today on for co-living. That's a good co-living deal. This one, 1,000 square feet, that's probably more of a Section 8 deal. That's not what we're going to talk about today. 1,400 square feet, probably another Section 8 deal. So you're going to go through and you're going to look at the ones that are large enough for you that fit what you're looking for. That's crazy. We don't want that one. 8,000 square foot house, 5-bed, 6.5 bath. That's a luxury house. That ain't no good for us. I like this one. 4,000 square feet, 4-bed, 3.5 bath. I could probably turn that into a 10-bedroom co-living house. Easy. That one's right there on the cusp. If this one has a good sized garage, I could turn this into a co-living house all day. If it has a garage, just pull it up. So now I've got to reach out to these people, right? And for those of you guys that are in SubTo, I do this with you guys in person at my office. And I just reach out to these people. We submit offers. I show you step by step how to do this. And I've never had somebody come to my office and not do a deal with me in person. Never had that. That's never happened. Okay. This one, look at this. Really cheap, inexpensive house, $275,000. It's been on the market 82 days. Okay. So they've been on the market 82 days. Let's tell you the story. They've been on the market for 82 days. The house is vacant. They have no equity. And the agent has not been able to sell the property in 82 days. What is the likelihood that this person would let me take over their mortgage payments and take this as a rental? What's the likelihood? Probably an 8.7 to a 9.5. I wouldn't say it's a 10. I think a 10 would be, it's been on the market for 150 days. But does everybody understand that basic stuff? Can I get a yes or a holy crap? You just showed me how to find deals in 2 seconds. Thank you, Pace. I stopped doing my laundry for a couple of minutes and I actually paid attention, and holy crap, you just gave me some technical stuff. And the fact that you had to do this for you had to do this a third time, I feel really bad for you because you do this all the time. And you know what? Holy crap, Pace. Thank you so much. Okay. Can you filter out the high interest rate loans? Of course you can, Leor. I'm going really basic here, right? I'm really going basic here. Okay. I'm going basic because I want you guys to understand the concept instead of literally just manually doing this. Can I teach you guys something about teaching? Teach you guys something about teaching. Most people want to be entertained. They don't want to be educated. So when I just dial and I do cold call stuff, I usually prefer to do that when I'm with my students in my office, because now I got them locked in a room and they can't run away. What you will do is, you guys have already proven, give me a guilty in the side chat. I want a guilty in the side chat that you guys are not fully paying attention. You're paying more attention than you would on a regular YouTube because you know we're live, but you're freaking doing other shiz right now. Okay. I said shiz. Okay. A lot of you guys are doing other stuff. Can I get a guilty? Don't say not guilty if you're not guilty. Just say guilty if you are guilty. Cool. So I'm not criticizing you. I just want to point out to you guys that the reason why I don't go deep into some of these stuff is because I also have to entertain people while I educate people. And that's why I prefer to have my students come into my office once a month and spend a week with me, so that we keep our success rate at 100% success rate and get people a bunch of deals in person. So that's where I go in deep. People have a hard time paying attention on YouTube. They have a way less harder time paying attention on a live Zoom, but it's nearly impossible to fail if you're in person. Okay. No, I don't like using PropWire anymore. Just FYI, I love Jerry, but PropWire is not the thing that I use. Okay. Okay, cool. So somebody says, so after you take over mortgage payments, then what? Step by step. Okay, great. Great question. So what I'll do to give you guys some homework is I will give you guys a YouTube video that will change your life. Okay. For those of you guys that want to learn more about creative finance, I did a creative finance bonus training yesterday. But the video I would watch, let's go to Pace Morby YouTube channel, type in most popular. It's like the second most popular video I've ever done is full breakdown of buying house SubTo. It's me whiteboarding step by step. It's about 32 minutes long. Okay. I will put that link in the side chat for you guys. You can go and watch that later. Okay. So, David, any questions you have for me? It doesn't even have to be on topic. What other questions do you have?
No, I think you've covered everything. The questions that I have might be beyond the scope of what you're trying to cover here.
Shoot, if you have anything, if you don't have anything, that's okay. If you have something, shoot. You've been
Yeah,
such a freaking trooper, dude.
So when you first went through this, you mentioned, I think you selected foreclosure as one of the filters, and I was wondering what kind of additional headaches that brings in, because I know there's auction dates and all that kind of stuff. So how does that change the timeline for the purchase? And
okay, so
what does
great
that
question.
mean?
So foreclosures are actually not necessarily a problem for you. They're a problem for the seller, which is actually better for you. I call foreclosures a ticking time bomb. So what will happen a lot of times when you're negotiating with an agent or a seller is they have like an infinite amount of time if they're not in foreclosure, right? They could change their mind every week and you send over an offer and they don't have to say yes. I prefer to go after foreclosures when possible. And the reason being is because I know that in Texas, Arizona, 90% of our states in the United States have very quick foreclosure processes. So I know that they have their back up against the wall. They're going to have the sheriff kick down their door and pull them out of the house. That is what happens in Texas and Arizona and a lot of other states. Not California. It takes a little bit more time. But the foreclosure process is a gift to you as an investor because you know that these people have their back up against the wall. You don't have to go back and forth for months and months. They don't have months. They have weeks. And so foreclosures are actually a great thing. Now, why would I not go after foreclosures and why would I go after other things? Well, if I'm in a smaller market, right? So let's talk about that for a minute. If I'm in a smaller market, let's say like Fargo, North Dakota, okay? Fargo, North Dakota, great market. I have students winning in every market. You name a city, I'll name a student that's making $1 million a year. Chris Neer is my student in Fargo, North Dakota. Not one student. I have 500 students in Fargo, North Dakota. I have students everywhere, but let's go to Deal Sauce. And let's just pretend that you're going to work Deal Sauce in Fargo, okay? If I'm going to go to Fargo, I'm assuming, I haven't looked at Fargo in a long time, but I'm assuming that if I go to Fargo, there's going to be a lot less foreclosures because it's a small town, right? Fargo, North Dakota. It's a smaller town than Phoenix, Arizona. And so obviously, look at this, 29,000 opportunities. Fargo is a super cute town, but it's small. And so look at this. There's only 246 properties listed in that marketplace. Okay. So I have a lot less opportunity to look for in terms of pain. Okay. So I go to low equity. If I go to low equity, none of those people are in foreclosure. If I pull off low equity, I at least have 8 people in foreclosure. Now, why do I like low equity? Well, I like low equity because I know that I can buy the house SubTo and usually put no money down. The seller will walk away with no money in their pocket. I know that. So there's 18 people right now, I already know, that are willing to do that. However, there are no other pain points except for vacancy. And when I look at vacancy, there's only 2. There's not a lot of houses to call on, right? So you want to just dial in to find enough stuff to work on. And so when you are in a small market, a lot of times you're just reaching out to active listings because you have 246 opportunities. When you have more time, when you have a lack of time, you're then going to go to the one that's like, okay, well, let's see, 10 vacant houses on the market. I would rather work the 18 low equity houses that are on the market. Does that help answer the question of why I would do foreclosure, not foreclosure, et cetera?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And you obviously got to kind of tell your own story. Every one of these buttons tells a different story, right? And we have other buttons down here. Like, look at all these other filters we have. I haven't even touched on other things that you can do. I'm just keeping it really basic for the new people that are being introduced to this for the first time. And this is all Maddie knew, right? Maddie knew the basics. Maddie didn't know the high level stuff. She didn't need to know the high level stuff. So now let's say that I go through all the active listings. Well, Now I can start going after the foreclosures, but what are these 372 foreclosures not doing that I know that these active listings are doing? These people are trying to sell. These people are probably trying to keep their house, right? Like, why would these 372 people that are at foreclosure not be listed on the market? Well, because they're trying to save their house, right? Now, if I want to go after seller finance deals, check this out. High equity. Now I'm going after seller finance. Low equity is SubTo. High equity is seller finance, right? So each one of these buttons is going to give you a different outcome of the type of person you're working with and negotiating with. If I could tell you, Fargo is a way more conservative town. Usually way more conservative towns have way less foreclosures. So I already knew that Fargo was not going to be a heavy foreclosure one, which is why I chose it. Now let's go back to the map. Let's get rid of Fargo and let's go to, let's say, Atlanta, Georgia. I love freaking Atlanta. It's one of my favorite markets. Kind of a blended, it's a very, very blended marketplace. Every strategy works in Atlanta. I love Atlanta, Georgia so much. So Atlanta, where are we at? Here we go. Big market. I own a bunch of stuff in Decatur. I own stuff up in Tucker, Snellville. I own stuff over there. I own a bunch of stuff in Atlanta. One of my favorite properties I've ever owned is in Atlanta. I love Atlanta. And you can see there's 277,000 opportunities here. Cool. Well, I can guarantee you there's foreclosures here. Look at this. 2,000 foreclosures, 6,000 vacant, right? Delinquent taxes. Tax liens, 27,000 people are behind on their freaking their taxes. Okay.
Man.
20,000 people have low equity. 10,000 people are upside down. Do you see why we use this software instead of stupid Zillow or stupid other like MLS stuff?
Yeah.
It's just so helpful. So if I'm brand new, I'm going to go active listing first because I know they're actively interested in selling the property. Then I'm going to go, all right, I have plenty of time. Guess what I'm clicking on? I'm clicking on vacancy or low equity first. If I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to go for the highest pain point, even if it has the lower amount of opportunities. Does that make sense?
When you say when you have the more time, you talking about just time to buy the deal.
You, the individual, right?
Yeah, okay.
Like people complain about like, I'm busy in my life. No, you're not busy. Like I own 9 companies. I have hundreds of employees. I just ran a 3,000 person event literally 2 days ago. I got back yesterday morning at 1 a.m. and I'm here with you. I'm busy. You're not busy. I'm busy. Okay. And I still have time to do philanthropy and help you guys out and love on you guys. But people's biggest complaint is I don't have time. Cool. So if you don't have time, then you can do this business. I'm not exaggerating, in 15 minutes a day. You can do this business 15 minutes a day. So, and I'll show you guys, like for the SubTo members that are in my community, even if you joined recently, come to my office. We'll do it in like 15 minutes a day. We'll spend most of the day just doing deals. I'll take you guys to the houses in person. You'll be like, we clicked 3 buttons, we made 4 calls, and now we're at a house buying a house. Like it is so simple. It's ridiculous. But for the people that believe that it's really hard, they think that you have to do this hours a day. You don't. You have to know how to find pain, which I just showed you like 12 times. 12 times. I've shown you how to find pain 12 times. If you have a lot of time, you should go after the pain points that have a lot of opportunities because now you have more calls to make to those agents or more offers to submit. But if you're really busy, you're not a stay-at-home mom, but let's say you're a mom that's also a nurse and you're taking care of a family and you're like, I really want to do something. Well, then on Saturday, take 4 hours, only Saturday, just work 4 hours on Saturday, hell, 2 hours. And go for the higher pain point, but the less amount of opportunities. Highest pain point possible is actively listed, actively in foreclosure. That's the highest pain point you could ever get. They're losing the house. There's a timeline. The state or the county has a timeline imposed on their house. Everybody knows they're in foreclosure. They got social pressure. They got bank pressure, financial pressure. They've got personal pressure in their household. There's a lot of stress going on in that house, and they're trying to sell, and it hasn't sold, and they're in foreclosure. You might only have 100 of those opportunities in your market, but guess what? You'll have 100 this month, and then a new 100 will pop up next month. One of the most important things I could teach you is that there's literally never an end to foreclosures, and there's literally never an end to pain. This has worked I started in 2012. We've been through multiple markets. We went through COVID. We had the drop. We had the stagnate. Like, I've been through it all. There's never a point in any real estate market where there's not thousands of people in every city or larger city, thousands of people, vacant, foreclosure, decrepit, falling apart, getting a divorce, going through bankruptcy, deploying to the military, thousands of people in your marketplace this month are in pain. And in next month, there's another 1,000 people that will fall into divorce, or somebody will cheat on somebody, or somebody will lose their job. It happens every day. It is a machine that just continues to fill up over and over and over and over. There's endless opportunity, endless opportunity. I bought 300 single family rentals in like 5 years, 300 in 5 years, 300 single family rentals in 5 years. No money out of my pocket, no credit, nothing. It's endless opportunity. So it doesn't matter the market, you will have deals. However, let's wrap up the day here. In order for me to choose a market that I want to be in, my friends, I want to be in a market that is growing 0.8% per year. Pace, how do I find that out? Well, you could use ChatGPT, but the best website to use is the Census Bureau. Okay, if you guys go to just Google the Census Bureau, and you can look at growth patterns all over the country. If I'm going to own a rental, okay, this isn't deal finding, okay? You can wholesale, fix and flip in any marketplace. This is for owning your own properties, okay? Census Bureau, county growth. I can't remember I should find the website. County growth. Okay, county population total. So there's a map in here. If you guys click on the maps, you'll see, let's see, there's this freaking awesome map they have in here, and you just click in and zoom on it. Let's see, data and maps. Total households. Where is it? Might take me a minute to find it. They've updated the website a couple of times. But there's a map on here. You click on it. It's completely free. It will show you where it's growing, where it's not growing. Okay. It will show you every freaking thing. This website is so freaking good. I'll find it for you later tonight. And I'll send it out to everybody. But the Census Bureau, I want to be in a place that's growing 0.8% every year, which means there's more job growth. There's people moving there, which means rent rates are going to continue to go up. Costs are going to go up, which means I can buy a co-living property today, and in 2, 3, or 4 years, I get to bump the rents, right? So I have growth. It's a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge against everything. So I want to choose a market. If I'm going to hold co-living, I want to have a 0.8% growth in whatever market, okay? Population growth. It means jobs are happening, education's good, things are awesome. If I don't want to hold, I can choose any market and I can find deals for other people. So what I'll do is tomorrow, I'll talk about how do I find buyers to then bring deals to, so that when I find a deal, I can just get paid $15,000, $25,000, $35,000. But the main thing we're going to talk about tomorrow are all the technical questions you have about co-living, parking, how do they get along? Who sets the thermostat? All of those types of questions we'll answer first right out of the gate. And then at the end, I'll talk about how do we find buyers when you find deals, okay? David, was today good?
I love it, Pace. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate you and bringing me up here, and I've learned a lot. Thank you.
You asked a great question in the beginning. I love having a sounding board. David, I've never met you before, have I?
No, sir.
So like having a dude like you that asks great questions, you pay attention, you give me the sound and the mindset of the audience, which helps me educate. So thank you for sticking up here. Can everybody give David a big thank you for hanging out with me for the last 2.5 hours? Okay, so a couple of gifts that we're going to give you guys tomorrow. People that show up on time, I'm going to give you, let's see what I can give you as a gift tomorrow. People that show up on time tomorrow. Oh, thank you. I have people texting me the Census Bureau stuff, which is cool. Thank you for that. Okay, so things I'm going to give you guys tomorrow. I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to give you I'll give you my private money lending list on Wednesday. I'm going to give you guys all of my contracts, right? My purchase contract, my assignment contract, my JV agreements. Those are like $4,000 or $5,000 in contracts. I'll give you our contracts tomorrow for people that show up on time. Guys, what time are we starting tomorrow? What time are we starting tomorrow? Okay, if you're on the East Coast, 6 o'clock. If you're on the West Coast, we're starting at 3 o'clock, okay? So 3 o'clock Arizona time, that's where I'm at. We went 2.5 hours today. My wife just texted me, said the kids are ready to play in the backyard, so I'm going to go love on my wife and my kids. I will work so hard for the rest of my life, but I will not work when my kids and my wife are available for me. I want to make sure I go love on them and spend my minutes with them. So we'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock. The people that start right at 3 o'clock, I'm going to give you guys the contracts, okay? And then I'll have PadSplit here. We'll do a ton of like technical questions about permits and zoning and how, what happens when there's conflict. And we'll go through all sorts of great questions. We'll probably be on here for 3, maybe 4 hours. Can I get a commitment? If I go 4 hours tomorrow, you guys are going to stick around for the full 4 hours. Who's going to stick around with me? Okay, cool.
I'll be here.
Awesome. David, you're awesome. Carly, who helps me run this webinar. Her name's Carly Grunman. She's incredible. She's my good friend. She helps me run the back end. Thank you so much. And we'll be way more technical tomorrow. But if Maddie can do this, you can do this too. I promise you, it is really, really simple. And it does not require a lot of time. You see thousands of my students online, testimonials and all sorts of crazy things, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And our community did $25 billion in transactions last year, $25 billion in transactions. Why? It's because we don't use banks. We don't use credit. We don't worry about credentials like licenses and all that kind of stuff. We don't need them. Legally, we don't need any of that kind of stuff, okay? So we will have a lot of fun, and I'll bring